After getting the information he wanted to obtain, Han Fei asked the fat man repeatedly, and after making sure that there was no mistake, Han Fei ended the fat man's life. Then he quickly left the rental house. After leaving the rental house, Han Fei went to the Southeast Provincial Public Security Department as soon as possible. Coming here, Han Fei turned on the radar scanning map again. Although he only found out that the IP address was this place, and he was not sure who the spy was, he believed that as long as the radar map was turned on, he would be able to find what he wanted. Really? When he arrived, Han Fei saw a red dot on the radar map. After discovering the red dot, Han Fei walked directly into the Public Security Department. Walking all the way as if wandering, I finally found a person at the door of a bathroom. It was a short and thin disabled person about 50 years old. He walked with a limp on one of his legs, and this person was cleaning at this time. Judging from the behavior of this disabled person, he was a hygienist of the Public Security Department. Seeing this situation, Han Fei's eyes suddenly turned cold, because, according to the scanning of the system, this 50-year-old disabled person was the spy he was looking for. Although Han Fei didn't know if the disabled person was the one who sent the email in the morning, at least it showed that there was a relationship. When Han Fei saw this person, this disabled person also saw Han Fei, and when he saw Han Fei, he only glanced at Han Fei slightly, and then withdrew his gaze and continued to clean up. However, although he didn't seem to care about Han Fei obviously saw a flash of doubt in the other party's eyes. So, Han Fei's body moved. He rushed up directly, knocked him unconscious with a punch, and when he was done, he was going to drag him to the bathroom next to him for interrogation, but, just when he was preparing for this, a policeman who came to the toilet saw such a situation. "What are you doing? Damn it! Stop it!" The policeman clearly saw Han Fei punching the disabled person unconscious. He saw this situation and roared at Han Fei sharply, and rushed towards Han Fei as the words fell. Bang! In response to this policeman, it was Han Fei's punch, just one punch, just like stunning a disabled person, knocking him unconscious. After doing such a thing, Han Fei dragged the police and the disabled into the toilet, and then hung a cleaning at the door. Then he closed the door. Immediately after that, Han Fei began to torture the disabled. Han Fei showed no mercy to his torture and to the fat man, because this short and thin disabled person looked like a person from the Celestial Empire, but in fact he was a little Japanese. The reason why it is so certain is that it is also Fei's strong perception of Little Japan, and at the same time, there is also a hint of the system's scanning map. The scanned map of the system does not show friendly relations with each other, locates each other's location, and also displays names. The display of this skinny old man on the map is called Kugoro Onomoto. Will be called this name, except for Little Japan. Han Fei really can't think of any Celestial Empire people who will take this name. After a period of brutal torture, like the short and fat young man, this ghost Kugoro also told Han Fei everything he knew, and also told Han Fei how he entered the Public Security Bureau. This ghost Kugoro has been in the Southeast Provincial Public Security Department for more than 10 years. He hid his real name a long time ago, changed his identity, and came to the Celestial Empire. In the past 10 years, a lot of information has been transmitted back to Japan. If he hadn't been caught by Han Fei today, who would have thought that this disabled uncle who swept the floor would be a Japanese spy? In addition, don't look at this guy as a disabled person, and don't look at the fact that he couldn't even catch Han Fei's move, and he was knocked out by Han Fei. In fact, the strength of this disabled person is not low. He is specially trained, and the average policeman is no match for him at all, and his willpower is stronger than that of the average person. However, his willpower was still weak in front of Han Fei. When Han Fei learned what he wanted to know, he took out his mobile phone, and then made a call to Mr. Wen of the Southeast Provincial Public Security Department, signaling him to come to the bathroom. After Mr. Wen received this call, he was very surprised, but although he was surprised, he also came to the bathroom for the first time. I saw that at this time, this place was mottled with blood, and there were a large number of pieces of meat on the ground, which looked very terrifying, and in addition, the disabled person who was subdued by Han Fei was also very scary at this time. "Xiao Fei, what are you doing?" Mr. Wen said loudly to Han Fei, his expression extremely serious when he said this. Mr. Wen should know this. Han Fei took out the 7 kills order. 7 kills order? You are a member of the 7 kills group? Mr. Wen was taken aback. Don't make such a fuss, since you know the 7 kills group. Then you should know that the 7 Kills group is directly governed by the number 1 and number 2 leaders, and since my grandfather is the number 2 leader, it is normal for me to enter the 7 Kills group. You should know the rights of the 7 Killing group, right? Han Fei said indifferently. I know that I can handle all kinds of things cheaply, Mr. Wen said. It's good to know. Han Fei nodded. This disabled person is a Japanese spy. His name is Kugoro Anamoto. He is a member of the Sakura group. Next, I need you to deal with such a thing. If you can't handle it, I will send someone else to deal with such a thing, Han Fei said. Lao Zhang is a Japanese spy. How is this possible? Mr. Wen was taken aback and said in disbelief. That's just the way it is, Han Fei said indifferently. I got it, I'll take care of it. Mr. Wen nodded, and then couldn't help but say with some curiosity, Xiaofei, why did you suddenly track him down? Recently, there have been a series of espionage cases in the Southeast military region, and in addition, I was also assassinated by the Sakura group not long ago, and my grandfather assigned to deal with the Sakura group incident. Han Fei said, and as he spoke, the words change. Since President Wen is dealing with such things, then I will leave first. Today's matter. I hope you can abide by the confidentiality regulations, and in addition, please tell me any information about the Sakura group in the future. Finally, Mr. Wen, I'm afraid I will trouble you in the future. Han Fei stood up from the ground as he spoke, and when he stood up, he suddenly ended up with the life of Kugoro Anamoto. For such people, once he obtained useful information, Han Fei didn't want them to continue to live. Because they are alive, they may pass on information, which will hinder his actions and cause some unnecessary trouble, so it is inevitable to kill him. Why did you kill him all at once? Mr. Wen was stunned. I've got the information I want. The 7 Kills group, the enemy has always been. Kill, Han Fei said, putting away the 7 Kills order, and then glanced at the policeman lying on the ground. Remind Mr. Wen again, confidentiality regulations. This man on Earth must not let him tell him about today's events, Han Fei said. Understood. Mr. Wen said. With Mr. Wen's answer, Han Fei followed and walked out of the bathroom, and as Han Fei walked out of the bathroom, Mr. Wen immediately called the person he trusted and asked him to deal with such a thing, and at the same time, he also made a call to the old chief. Although the 7 killings that Han Fei took out made him think it was true, he still wanted to ask Han Fei's grandfather. Outcome. Naturally, the answer was in the affirmative. When he learned of such a thing, Mr. Wen was very embarrassed. It is said that the prince of the Han family is the prince of the Han family, and he is a super overlord in the world, and he doesn't want Han Fei to hide so deeply. After Han Fei walked out of the Southeast Provincial Public Security Department, he didn't immediately go to find the next target, because, although he had obtained a lot of information from Kimoto Kugoro, he still couldn't learn about the Sakura Group branch established in Washa from Kimoto Kugoro. The members of this cherry blossom group are all over the country. Every city has its eyeliner and its lurkers. It's very difficult to pull it up all at once, and if you don't pay attention to it, you can startle the snake. He pulled out 2 chess pieces one after another, which was already easy to arouse the vigilance of the people behind the scenes. Of course, judging from the situation of the Sakura group, it seems that the country is quite incompetent, allowing so many spies to lurk, but in fact, whether it is a war era or a peaceful era, there are spies and agents lurking between countries. Japan was able to get the Sakura group to lurk in the Celestial Empire, and the Celestial Empire also had a special lurking Japan. Both sides want to pull out all the pieces, but it is not easy to pull them out completely. This little Japanese cherry blossom group has been lurking in the country since the war years, and now it is indeed difficult to pull it out all at once. After so many years of operation, little Japan is bound to be a cunning rabbit. Han Fei's thoughts turned as he walked. Nothing can stop you from freedom. A bell rang suddenly, and as the sound rang, Han Fei connected the phone. Hey, Enron, what's wrong? After Han Fei answered the phone, he opened his mouth with a smile. I can't look for you if it's okay. Randao. Of course. Han Fei said. Do you have time? I want to treat you to dinner, Enran said. Why did you suddenly remember to invite me to dinner? Is there anything good? Han Fei said with a smile. I might be on a mission in a few days, Enran said. Mission? Han Fei's eyes flickered. Where are you going? Confidentiality regulations. Enran smiled. Okay, I'll tell you when we meet, Han Fei said and made an appointment with Enran, and then hung up the phone. 10 minutes later, in a private room of a restaurant, Han Fei and Ran were in this place. Now tell me what you're going on, Han Fei asked with a smile. Didn't they all say the rules of secrecy? Ran said. Well, I won't ask much if you insist, Han Fei said. He did not tell Ran that he was a member of the 7 Killings group and qualified to know the secret regulations, but was ready to wait for someone to investigate Ran's situation. With his identity, he wanted to investigate Ran's mission situation, and it didn't take much effort. Ran smiled, and then chatted with Han Fei, and in the process of chatting, Ran's beautiful eyes always fell on Han Fei's handsome face. Why are you looking at me like this? Han Fei laughed. Look, you're very handsome, Ran said to Han Fei with a smile, and as he spoke, the words changed. Oh, by the way, Han Fei, I haven't congratulated you on crushing our Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade. Are you congratulating or dissatisfied? Han Fei glared at Ran. It's all there, who let you show no mercy to this guy at all, although you crushed the Lone Wolf Special Operations team of Chief of Staff Fan, but it also made our entire Lone Wolf Special Operations Brigade be slapped in the face, Ran said. You can't blame me for this. Go out on a mission, be careful, contact me at any time if there is anything. I don't want to finally save you from the hands of the Huang family, but you died so easily, Han Fei said. Bah. What are you saying? That is unlucky, so that I will not die, Ran said angrily to Han Fei. After the two of them ate, they went shopping together on the lower street, and then Ran and Han Fei separated, and when they separated, Han Fei obviously found a trace of reluctance and worry in Ran's eyes. Seeing this situation, Han Fei did not ask about Ran's specific situation, but as soon as he separated, he began to let people investigate Ran's situation. With the investigation, Han Fei's brows suddenly furrowed. It turned out that Enron was going to carry out the Violet Plan. No wonder Enron was so wrong. Han Fei's eyes moved. He had not forgotten the story about Enran, in which Enran was sacrificed when he was codenamed Violet to carry out an undercover mission. Although this world is a hodgepodge world now, if Enron goes to implement the Violet Plan, it will still be very dangerous. So Han Fei asked people to pay attention to Enran's situation 24 hours a day, and asked Enran to notify him if there was any problem. After giving such an order, Han Fei continued to be busy with the affairs of the Sakura group. However, the affairs of the Sakura group were not so easy to solve, and without waiting for him to solve the Sakura group, he suddenly learned from his attention to Mr. Wen's eyeline that Mr. Wen was going to go to the warrior school. After knowing such a thing, Han Fei immediately put down and continued to deal with the affairs of the Sakura group. Mr. Wen went to the warrior school, which means that Scorpion's subordinates began to prepare to deal with Cha-Chai at the warrior school, so that he also had to go to the warrior school as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary accidents. 3 days later, Han Fei embarked on his way to the warrior academy. Dressed lightly, wearing a t-shirt on the upper body, a pair of beach pants on the bottom, a pair of slippers on the feet, and sunglasses on the face, it doesn't look like it's going to save anyone, but like a vacation to Hawaii or something. The warrior school, located in Venezuela, Bolivar, South America, is a world-renowned special forces training center. There are elites of special forces from all over the world. The environment, conditions, situations, and methods of the devil selection are as cruel as actual combat, and the elimination rate is as high as 50% and 80%. It's normal to train here, to be disabled, or to die. The slogan of the Warrior Academy is that the most combative, fierce, and intelligent warriors are made here. However, this is only for the people of the surface world, and for the people of the underground world, this Warrior Academy is not worth mentioning at all. The elimination rate is only as high as 50%, 80%. Like the Hades Hall where Han Fei stayed in his previous life, the elimination rate was as high as 99.9%. Once you can't pass the training, there is only one word: death. Crippled or something, it is impossible to continue to survive, and the training of the Hades Palace is all actual combat training, which is real fighting ability training, dealing with death every day. It is training for people to kill, and training for students to fight with students. Whereas like this Warrior Academy, the so-called death is just that it can't withstand the intensity of training. So when Han Fei came to the Warrior Academy, he just regarded this place as a back flower garden. The so-called Warrior Academy, which was heavily defended and could not be invaded by others, Han Fei easily infiltrated it. It was night, when all the trainees in the training were asleep. Using the radar map scan, Han Fei easily entered a dormitory, and then came to one of the beds. At this time, Shu Tianlong was lying on the bed tiredly and falling into a deep sleep. Seeing this situation, Han Fei smiled slightly, and then woke Shu Tianlong up. Almost at the moment when he woke Shu Tianlong, a cold light flashed in Shu Tianlong's eyes, and he was about to attack, but before he could attack, Han Fei covered his mouth all of a sudden, put his hand to his mouth and said, "Shush, it's me." Accompanied by Han Fei's voice, Shu Tianlong was shocked, and then a look of disbelief appeared on his face. "Follow me," Han Fei said with a smile, let go of Han Fei as he spoke, and then quietly walked out of the dormitory with Shu Tianlong, and then came to a relatively secret place. "Master, why did you come here? And your outfit, are you here for a tour?" Shu Tianlong looked at Han Fei with wide eyes, looking Han Fei's clothes up and down. In a place where the military defense was extremely tight, Han Fei actually sneaked in wearing such clothes. It's too awesome, it's a little hard. Sort of, didn't I hear you say that you came here to train as a warrior, so I came over to see how your training is doing. How do you feel okay these days? Han Fei said with a smile. "It's okay," Shu Tianlong said. "I guess so, after all, you are also a Ming Jin martial artist, and your physical fitness is many times stronger than that of ordinary people. If you can't even withstand the training of such a garbage warrior school, it will be a shame," Han Fei said. "Trash?" Shu Tianlong's eyes widened. "It's really not good. When will I take you to experience it? Real death training, you will know what I said is true or false. A warrior academy like this is also on the bright side. In fact, it is nothing in the dark world. The so-called training of the most elite special forces in various countries is simply bullshit," Han Fei said. "Don't wait for such a blow, master," Shu Tianlong said speechlessly. "Do it well. When your warrior academy is over this time, I will give you something that can make you quickly improve your strength." Han Fei patted Shu Tianlong's shoulder with his hand. "What is it?" Shu Tianlong's eyes lit up. "Confidentiality for the time being," Han Fei said. Seeing Han Fei say this, although Shu Tianlong was very curious, he didn't ask anything more. And Han Fei's words were not to deceive Shu Tianlong about anything. He was indeed ready to give Shu Tianlong something to quickly improve his strength. Primary genetic agents. What Han Fei got from doing a mission some time ago. According to the system, once this thing is taken, it can improve the strength of the human body on a large scale. When he first saw the description of the system, Han Fei wanted to take it himself, but when he thought that this was a primary genetic medicine, then there must be an intermediate, advanced or something, so he asked about the specific situation of the system about the genetic medicine. As a result, according to the system, although genetic drugs can improve the strength of the human body, they also have some side effects. The primary side effects are the largest, the intermediate level is second, and the advanced level is basically none. In addition to the advanced level, there is also a drug called perfect gene medicine, which has no side effects at all, and can stimulate the human body's potential to the greatest extent. And the so-called side effects, for some people, are actually not too much of a problem. After taking the primary genetic medicine, it will make the human body's demand for food increase, and it will not be a problem for a person to eat with a dozen strong men, and the muscles will become changza, the size will become larger to a certain extent, and the body and hair will definitely increase or something, and you can't circle and fork within a year. All right. Han Fei is just over 18 years old now. He is a handsome guy, and he doesn't want to become a big guy all of a sudden. In that case, even if you are not scared, what if your sister Yao is scared? In addition, he often gets personal competitive training when doing tasks, and it is actually better to compete alone than swallowing genetic pills to improve his strength. The more people you kill, the greater the increase in strength. With his current situation, every time he trains in individual competition, he can improve his strength a lot. For example, his current situation, before he entered the Wolf-Tooth Special Combat Brigade, he was in the middle stage of dark energy, but because of the personal competitive training he received on the way, he is now in the late stage of dark energy. Hey, someone's coming. Okay, I'm leaving. After talking to Shu Tianlong for a while, Han Fei suddenly opened his mouth to Shu Tianlong, and then saw Sheng's body spread, and suddenly disappeared by Shu Tianlong's side, and his speed made Shu Tianlong envious. With Han Fei's strength in the late stage of dark energy, it is completely equivalent to a super martial arts master. Since infiltrating the warrior school and meeting Shu Tianlong, Han Fei began to familiarize himself with the surrounding terrain in the next few days, preparing for the next thing. According to Han Fei's investigation, Although the scorpion was killed by him 3 years ago, and many of the scorpion's subordinates were actually in the playground 3 years ago, there are many powerful characters in this world besides the scorpion. This time, the South American drug lord Shang Ming invited a scorpion organization, and the masters he had recruited in recent years led a team to the warrior school to snipe Cha-Chai. This master is codenamed Ghost Sword. This person is said to have been a retired special soldier of a certain military region of the Celestial Empire when he was not a mercenary. In addition, his marksmanship is also very amazing, and his international reputation is stronger than that of scorpions. Ruthless and cunning as a fox. In just 3 years, he has become the strongest mercenary of the Scorpion organization. After Han Fei familiarized himself with the surrounding environment, he then walked towards Shang Ming's drug lord's stronghold. Then he saw Wang Qingshan here. After seeing Wang Qingshan, Han Fei did not touch Wang Qingshan anything, but observed the layout of the drug lord's stronghold, as well as the situation of touching the ghost sword. When Han Fei found the ghost sword, Han Fei was somewhat surprised. Because he found out that this ghost sword was actually a master of national arts, and because there was no specific competition in its strength, Han Fei didn't know how strong the other party was, but at worst, it should have reached the middle stage of Ming Jin. After seeing this situation, although Han Fei was completely sure that he would enter the stronghold and kill Shang Ming and the ghost sword, and even kill a large number of militants. But Han Fei didn't do that, because Han Fei found that after he entered this world, although the red blood cells were still established, although he still came to the warrior school, but the person who led the team was not just Gong Jian, and at the same time, Fan Tinlei actually came to play soy sauce. To be honest, when Han Fei knew that it was Fan Tinlei who was also here, he was very interested in this time. Han Fei wanted to know what the situation would be when this Fan Tinlei faced the action of the ghost sword without interfering, whether it was a perfect solution, or just like in the story, even if there were no scorpions now, the red blood cell team would still be arrested. Of course, while observing, Han Fei paid attention to his goal this time. Cha-Chai and Wang Qingshan. These two Han Fei will never let them die. Under Han Fei's secret observation, on this day, he quietly noticed that Wang Qingshan had come to a hidden cellar, and when he was quietly paying attention to Wang Qingshan, Han Fei also obviously found that not only Wang Qingshan, but also someone was quietly paying attention to Wang Qingshan. This person was fully armed, he did a certain amount of hiding, he was a sniper, and he lurked in the grass about 20 meters away from Han Fei. When Wang Qingshan entered the cellar, Wang Qingshan didn't realize that he was being monitored at all. Head, I saw that the man surnamed Wang entered the cellar, do you want to stop him? After the sniper saw that Wang Qingshan had entered the cellar, he quietly used communication to communicate to the ghost sword. Stop him from doing anything, all I want is for him to pass on the information. Ghost sword sneered in response. White Shark, I finally got the information. After Wang Qingshan entered the cellar, he saw that there was a radio station placed here. Wang Qingshan did it in front of the radio station for the first time, and then sent a telegram to Mr. Wen of the Southeast Provincial Public Security Department. At this time, Mr. Wen had already appeared at the warrior school because he learned that the Scorpion's subordinates were preparing to hunt Cha-Chai. Good, our commando team is waiting for your news. Mr. Wen was also sitting in front of a radio station, and after learning of Wang Qingshan's call, Mr. Wen immediately responded excitedly. Have you received false information? Said Wang Qingshan. The inside information obtained by the local police, Ghost Sword's subordinates will operate in Area 2. Mr. Wen responded. Actually, that's me, not the Ghost Sword them. Wang Qingshan said. I guessed, so I haven't taken action yet, and I've been standing still. Mr. Wen responded. My task is to lead a team in the second area as a bait to attract commandos, and the Ghost Sword leads a team of people to be condescending in the third area, and after the battle starts, he will suddenly attack from behind, and then I will come to the center to blossom and destroy together. I don't believe he'll come for reinforcements, but their purpose is to get the commandos to destroy us. And then together, consume our energy and ammunition. Wang Qingshan said. That plan called the Ghost Sword is vicious. Mr. Wen said, it's really a wishful thinking that he will use you as bait, let you and the commando team directly face each other, and then he will clean up by himself. I'll repeat, Ghost Sword's men are in Area 3, Area 3, Wang Qingshan said again. I'll tell them, let them go straight to Area 3, and you can go back quickly. Get ready, Mr. Wen said. White Shark. Wang Qingshan heard this, but he didn't hang up the communication immediately, but spoke to Mr. Wen. What's the matter? Mr. Wen said. Can I ask you a question you shouldn't ask? Wang Qingshan said. You say. Mr. Wen said. My son, is he also in the commando? Wang Qingshan said. Yes, he's a soldier. Mr. Wen said. I see. Wang Qingshan's eyes showed a touch of complexity. He was very worried about Wang Yunbing, because he had never fulfilled his responsibilities as a father, and when Wang Yunbing was very young, he came to be an undercover agent. Any more questions? Said Mr. Wen. No more. Wang Qingshan shook his head. I know what to do. This is my task. Okay. Get ready to go. Be careful, Mr. Wen said. Understood. Wang Qingshan answered, and then hung up the communication. At this time when Wang Qingshan hung up the communication, Mr. Wen was not alone in the place where Mr. Wen was at this time. In addition, Fan Tinlei was also here. This ghost sword's plan is indeed quite ruthless, and it is worthy of the character who has not been able to catch him for so many years, Fan Tinlei said. Yes, he is very cunning and insidious, Mr. Wen said. However, this time, no matter how cunning and insidious he is, he will inevitably die, and I will personally kill him. Fan Tinlei had a confident sneer on his face. Be careful, this ghost sword is not simple, even if it is a combination of the inside and the outside, you must also be vigilant, Mr. Wen said. I understand this, but Lao Wen, don't worry, don't you know your Fan Tinlei's ability? This time I will definitely let the ghost sword be planted in South America, Fan Tinlei said. Of course I believe in your abilities, Mr. Wen said. After the two had a quick talk, they immediately began to preparing to snipe and kill Ghost Sword and others with the special forces of Country C tonight. A moment later, Fan Tinlei arrived at a tent with Mr. Wen and the chief instructor of the warrior school. At this time, Shu Tianlong and the others were preparing weapons. Stand up. After coming here, the chief instructor ordered Shu Tianlong and the others, and with him doing so, he immediately saw Shu Tianlong and the others standing up one after another. Based on the reliable information we've got, the ghost sword will be in the third area tonight. Please remember the Tuna Junction code. The wind is blowing today. The answer is yes. It seems to be a typhoon. I hope you don't hurt him by mistake. Remember, keep it in mind, Mr. Wen said to Shu Tianlong and the others. Do you get it? Understood? Shu Tianlong and the others replied loudly. Prepare for battle, set off after dark, disband. The chief instructor said, and the chief instructor walked out of the tent, leaving Fan Tinlei and Mr. Wen to stay in the tent. When Mr. Wen and Fan Tinlei stayed in the tent, Mr. Wen subconsciously looked at Wang Yunbing. His eyes were extremely complicated. Chief, do you have any other instructions? Seeing this, Wang Yunbing asked Mr. Wen in puzzlement. It's nothing, pay attention to safety, go all out to complete the task, understand? Mr. Wen said in a complicated manner, approaching Wang Yunbing as he spoke, and patted Wang Yunbing on the shoulder with his hand. Understood. Wang Yunbing said loudly. As Wang Yunbing responded like this, Mr. Wen patted Wang Yunbing on the shoulder again, and then followed out of the tent, leaving Fan Tinlei and Wang Yunbing and others to prepare weapons together. Chief of Staff, do you also want to participate in today's evening operation? Gong Jian looked at Fan Tinlei in surprise. Why, can't I go? Said Fan Tinlei. No, but Chief of Staff, you're here to get soy sauce at the Warrior Academy this time, Gong Jian said. Soy sauce is just one of the goals, Fan Tinlei said. Speaking of this, his eyes flashed. I don't feel at ease with you rookies, so I will lead the team to carry out the mission at night. In addition, that ghost sword has killed many elite soldiers of my Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade. This time I will definitely kill him with my own hands. Oh. Gong Jian responded with a smile, and then stopped talking. In the evening, in the third area, the ghost sword quickly appeared here with people. Hurry up, each of them ambush. Ghost Sword shouted to the people around him, and with his words, everyone quickly dispersed towards the periphery, buried mines, hidden mines. Does this work? Head, will they really come? One of the mercenaries asked the Ghost Sword beside him as he hid. The Ghost Sword is about 1.75 meters tall, his face is cold, and his eyes are full of terrifying sharpness, which makes people can't help but tremble when they look at him. HMPH, they will come. They want my Ghost Sword's life too much. As long as that Wang Qingshan passes on the information, those special forces will definitely be fooled. I know their psychology too well. Ghost Sword sneered. I've fought with the people of the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade before, and I've killed quite a few people. Although they are elite, they have a weakness in hitting. If there is no problem, the person who leads the team this time must be Fan Tinley. This man relied on himself to be a veteran and had blind confidence in himself, and if he led the team, he would inevitably be sent to the door as soon as he learned that the information was correct. This person may be okay to train soldiers, but when it comes to fighting, that is lip service, and going out is to send him to death. As early as a few years ago, when I fought with the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade, I could have sniped him, but I did that. Because, a person like this, leaving it in the Wolf's Tooth Special Operations Brigade is obviously more effective than dying. After the Ghost Sword finished speaking, he beckoned, took the people around him, and quickly left the place where the mine was buried, and hid towards the surroundings. With them so. 2 hours later, Fan Tinley led the team to the encirclement ambushed by Ghost Sword and others. Did you find anything? After Fan Tinley led the team here, he immediately motioned to the surrounding people to squat down, and then spoke to the others. Something seems to be wrong. Shu Tianlong said. I also felt wrong, it was too quiet, Wang Yunbing said. It's a little too quiet, Gong Jian said. I also feel that something is wrong. If the Ghost Sword is really here, how can it not even bury a thunder? Li Erniu said. The more undetectable a mine is, the more dangerous it is. Fan Tinley excused. With these words, his face changed suddenly, and then ordered. Oh no, we were fooled. There is indeed an ambush, damn it. Evacuate. The rear team becomes the front team, and quickly evacuate the danger zone. With his words, he immediately led the team to evacuate. Head. They withdrew. Do you want to open fire? Seeing Fan Tinley and the others like this, a mercenary who was close to the Ghost Sword and observed the situation immediately said to the Ghost Sword. There is a point or two of cleverness, but unfortunately, the prey sent to the door is destined to not be able to run away. Order the first group, fire. Ghost Sword sneered, and then ordered. With his order, I immediately saw that on the left side of the evacuation of Fan Tinley and the others, someone suddenly got out of the bushes, and then shot at Fan Tinley and the others. At once, several special forces of Country C were hit. Shoot at that place. Chen Shanman said loudly, and with his words, he immediately saw Gong Jian and others shooting one after another, killing several mercenaries who shot them. Damn it, there is an ambush, retreat, 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 don't fall in love. Fan Tinley's face changed drastically, and he ordered loudly while shooting. So they continued to evacuate behind them, but then the sound of gunfire rang out from behind them. There is an ambush in the back, and there is an ambush in the back. There is an ambush. Judging from the situation of Fan Tinley and others, it is purely the rhythm of being served in one pot. And when Fan Tinley and the others were like this, on a hillside 1,600 meters away from the number 3 area where they were, Han Fei was biting a piece of grass, wearing a tactical suit, and holding a Barrett Heavy Sniper here. Barrett Heavy Sniper was placed in the system space before Han Fei came to South America, and now the system does not support purchase, so he can only get it in reality. Plus, he wears a headset in his ear. For the voices of Fan Tinley and the others, they are all in their ears. Observing the terrain in the past few days, he naturally had to do something to the surrounding area again. Took a slight look at the battlefield situation, and found that if he didn't make a move, Fan Tinley and the others would definitely be whitewashed. Although Han Fei cannot care about other people's lives, Shu Tianlong can't die. In addition, Li Erniu or something is also stupid and cute. So, Han Fei made a move. Bang! The bullet was instantly discharged, and it traveled a distance of 1,600 meters at once, hitting the head of the machine gunner who was intercepted behind Fan Tinley and the others, and directly blew off the head he was given, and even when the person's head was blown up, the bullet also passed through the person's head, and a person behind him was headshot. Bang, bang, bang. One bullet killed 2 people, followed by 3 more bullets, and quickly attacked the gunman who intercepted Fan Tinley and the others, taking the lives of several terrorists again. There are snipers. Damn, what's going on? How can there be snipers? And it's Barrett Heavy Sniper. This situation made the faces of the mercenaries such as the fighting Ghost Sword change drastically. Hide, quickly disperse and hide, don't get too close. Ghost Sword's face changed drastically, and he immediately ordered the other gunmen. A sniper is completely capable of influencing the outcome of a battle. The more powerful the sniper, the more so. Now the sniper who doesn't know where to hide is actually shooting with a Barrett heavy sniper. What about this? Ghost Sword never thought that under such a precise calculation of his own, how could there still be snipers lurking around? Could it be that Fan Tinley arranged it? Ghost Sword subconsciously glanced at Fan Tinley, who kept shooting, with a cold look in his eyes. How could this idiot make such an arrangement? He definitely didn't do it. Ghost Sword coldly denied his guess, and then moved the muzzle of the gun away from Fan Tinley, and instead sniped at the others. The people he sniped at were all special forces of Country C. The reason why this is so is because he is actually not ready to kill Shu Tianlong and the others. He wanted to capture Shu Tianlong and the others alive, and then pull them all into the water. Although they looked down on some of the soldiers of the Wolftooth Special Operations Brigade, they had to admit that anyone who could come to the warrior school was also good. Even he had come here to train back then, if it weren't for this sniper who suddenly appeared. The sword has a strong self-confidence, and will definitely be able to capture these Celestial Empire soldiers alive. As long as he can be captured alive, he has a way to let them go into the water. Even if you don't go into the water, it's a big deal when the time comes. In addition, Wang Yunbing and others carried out tactical evasion. Even if he wanted to snipe, he couldn't do it quickly. Fight back, shoot back. Although I don't know how the sniper came out, it seems that he is helping us, fighting, giving me a hard beating. Shu Tianlong, Wang Yunbing, kill the enemy sniper for me. Fan Tinley saw that the militants were killed one after another, and immediately ordered loudly. With him doing this, Wang Yunbing and Shu Tianlong quickly searched for the sniper in the place. However, the people led by the Ghost Sword are also elite. It's not easy to shoot. Of course, Wang Yunbing and Shu Tianlong can't shoot quickly, the enemy, but there is also Han Fei. Han Fei is holding Bakht. Even if someone is hidden, but when the radar map is turned on, these people can't leave his sight. Although many people hid in wooden houses. If an ordinary sniper rifle faced such a situation, it might not be able to attack the other party even if it knew the target, but Han Fei used Barrett. So, bang bang. With 2 gunshots, 2 of the snipers were suddenly shot through the wooden planks and died. Damn, withdraw, hurry up and give me. Seeing that the other party was able to lock the position so accurately, the Ghost Sword's face changed, and then ordered to retreat, and at the same time as the order, he also ran out of the side door, and then led the team to quickly evacuate towards the woods behind. But it's going to be hard to retreat. Han Fei was like an anti-aircraft machine gun, constantly firing bullets, and each shot was bound to take a life, or 2 terrorists. But whenever someone is too close, they get a headshot at once, and then hit another one after another. With the assistance of a university like Han Fei, the militants died one after another and were killed one after another. At the same time, Fan Tinley and the others also quickly pursued the Ghost Sword and the others. Among them, Fan Tinley rushed to the front and kept shooting. Bang! Suddenly, a bullet hit the retreating Ghost Sword, and the person who shot it was Fan Tinley. However, when Fan Tinley hit the Ghost Sword, a bomb also flew towards Fan Tinley, blowing Fan Tinley away at once. Chief of Staff. Seeing such a situation, Wang Yunbing and others were shocked. It's okay, his uncles, it's hard enough. Under the worry of Wang Yunbing and others, I saw Fan Tinley, who was blown away, suddenly got up from the ground, then spit out a mouthful of grass and mud, and then waved his hand to Wang Yunbing and others, indicating that he was fine. With Fan Tinley like this, Wang Yunbing and the others couldn't help laughing one by one, and they were all relieved at this moment. I'm really afraid that something will happen to Fan Tinley. Damn, I almost killed Lao Su, but Lao Su also hit you, damn beast. You finally have this day. Lao Su is here to collect your body. Seeing that he hit the Ghost Sword, Fan Tinley's face suddenly appeared excited, and then while continuing to attack the other retreating militants, he leaned towards the Ghost Sword lying motionless on the ground. Chief of Staff, be careful, don't go over. Seeing Fan Tinley's situation, Wang Yunbing and the others had no other reaction, but Shu Tianlong suddenly remembered what Han Fei had told him before. Fan Tinley was too confident and could easily get into trouble. Chief of Staff, be careful of deceit, Shu Tianlong said loudly. Anxiety appeared in his eyes. And almost when anxiety appeared in Shu Tianlong's eyes, he saw the Ghost Sword that fell to the ground motionless, as if it was dead, suddenly took out a grenade, bit off the pull ring, and threw it at Fan Tinley. Boom! The sound of the grenade explosion sounded, and I saw the grenade thrown by the Ghost Sword blow up Fan Tinley again. Ah, my legs, my legs, my legs. Followed by a terrible sound of participation from Fan Tinlei's mouth. I saw that Fan Tinlei's leg was directly scorched black by the grenade. Fan Tinlei struggled to sit up from the ground at this moment, and then hugged his leg, and screamed in unacceptable hysteria. Get down, Chief of Staff, get down. Be careful, Chief of Staff, be careful. When Fan Tinlei was holding his legs and screaming, he saw the ghost sword stand up from the ground, then picked up a pistol, and aimed at Fan Tinlei, obviously preparing to kill Fan Tinlei. And when the ghost sword was like this, Fan Tinlei didn't care at all that there was a ghost sword next to him to shoot at him, and at this moment, he was holding his leg and screaming. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Seeing this situation, Han Fei, who was holding Barrett to keep sniping the militants, suddenly showed a touch of surprise in his eyes, and then shook his head with emotion, and while shaking his head, he pulled the trigger, and a bullet quickly killed the ghost sword. He didn't kill the ghost sword before, but he actually wanted to let go of the ghost sword and give the ghost sword a chance to teach Fan Tinlei and the others a good lesson. Don't want to. You don't have to wait for the next time, and that's how things turn out. 3 years ago, he killed the scorpion in the 0231 area, so that Fan Tinlei was spared the situation of being smashed in the leg. No, 3 years later, in the place where the South American Warrior School is located, because he didn't want to kill the ghost sword so quickly, Fan Tinlei was injured in the leg by the ghost sword. Bang! A roar sounded, and with the sound of a roar, I saw that after Barrett's bullet shot out, it directly hit the ghost sword's Hungarian mouth, and blew out a big hole in his heart, at once. Barrett's heavy sniping power is far beyond what ordinary snipers can match. Though, the ghost sword is a bright martial artist, and his strength is not comparable to ordinary people, but it has not reached the level of resisting Barrett's bullets. In addition, the person who sent out the attack was Han Fei, so the ghost sword was extremely unwilling to kneel. It can be said that if it weren't for Han Fei's appearance, the ghost sword would definitely be able to slaughter Fan Tinlei and the others with ease. But now it turned out to be a ghost sword death. With the death of the ghost sword, those who escaped ran even harder, as the subordinates of the ghost sword. They all knew very well how powerful the ghost sword was. However, such a powerful ghost sword was dropped by someone. You must know that a person like the ghost sword, under the circumstances, relying on the perception of danger, is able to avoid bullets to the extent that the average sniper is prevented by the ghost sword, and he can't think of hitting it, let alone killing it. And as these people fled, some special forces of Country C ran to pursue. Wang Yunbing and others didn't care about chasing those militants, and they all rushed towards each other's place where Fan Tinlei was. Chief of Staff. Chief of Staff, are you all right? Chief of Staff. After coming to Fan Tinlei's side, Wang Yunbing and the others looked at Fan Tinlei with complexity. My legs, my legs, my legs. Fan Tinlei ignored Wang Yunbing and the others, holding his legs and screaming miserably. The expression on his face was pale, with fear, and he looked completely unacceptable to such things. And with them like this, I saw that at 10 o'clock in the distance, suddenly many armed men with guns rushed towards the place where Fan Tinlei and the others were. Hidden. Get out of the way. Li Erniu, Shu Tianlong, you take the Chief of Staff to hide in the wooden house, quickly. Chen Shanman suddenly ordered Li Erniu, Shu Tianlong and the others. Yes. Li Erniu and Shu Tianlong answered at the same time, and then the two of them raised the Chief of Staff, regardless of the Chief of Staff's gaffe at this time, and quickly moved towards the wooden house. When carrying Fan Tinlei to transfer, Shu Tianlong's eyes at this time were very complicated. Because, at this moment, he completely believed Han Fei's words, the Chief of Staff was really not good, and his psychological quality would be so weak. Lost his mind in the middle of the battle, forgot his situation in the battle, and only cared about holding his legs and screaming. It's definitely something an idiot would do. If it weren't for the nameless sniper, who shot and killed the ghost sword, the Chief of Staff would have died under someone else's gun. And as Li Erniu and Shu Tianlong took Fan Tinlei into the wooden house, Chen Shanman, Gong Jian and others quickly exchanged hands with these militants who rushed out. In this kind of exchange, one of the militants suddenly retreated behind the militants, and when he pushed backwards, he held a submachine gun in his hand. Bang bang. When this man retreated behind the militants, he suddenly opened fire, shooting at the terrorists in front of him, and with him doing so, he killed more than a dozen people in an instant. The dozen or so people who died couldn't believe that the mountain brother behind them would do something to them. Brother Sean, you. Why One of the militants who was shot but did not die held on and stared at Wang Qingshan in disbelief and said. The person who suddenly shot at the militants was Wang Qingshan. Because I'm the *** People's Police. Wang Qingshan said loudly, took out a pistol in his left hand, and shot it again, and while replenishing the gun, his figure flashed to the side, dodging the attack of several other militants who were injured by him, and then shot back again. This is. What's the situation? What's going on? Why is there a sudden infighting? Chen Shanman and the others looked at the things in front of them puzzled, but although they were puzzled, they also shot and continued to shoot. No matter what kind of situation it is, since the militants are infighting, they must be killed first. My legs, my legs, my legs, my legs, ah. When Chen Shanman and others joined forces with Wang Qingshan to kill the militants, they saw that Xu Tianlong and Li Erniu were carried to the wooden house, and at this moment they were still holding their legs and screaming, still completely ignoring the surrounding situation. And there's more. Han Fei, who was at the top of the mountain, saw this situation. He really couldn't stand it, his body moved, and he jumped down from the top of the mountain. The mountain was more than 3 meters high, and he didn't have the slightest challenge to him, and fell to the ground steadily, and then carried Buffett and quickly rushed towards the location of the wooden house, and soon, he came to the location of the wooden house. Captain, someone has come up from the right, the pilot suddenly said to Chen Shanman. Oh, Chen Shanman was stunned for a moment, and then quickly looked to the right. This look, his brows subconsciously frowned, and he did see a person rushing up towards their location, and the other party was carrying a sniper in his hand. Barrett. Although I couldn't see it clearly at night, the moonlight could still make people vaguely see that it was a heavy sniper. Wait, don't shoot at that man, maybe your own. Chen Shanman ordered the people around him. With his order, I saw Han Fei walking towards them at an extremely fast speed, and in 3 or 2 clicks, he completely appeared in their sight. Han Fei. How are you? When Han Fei appeared in the sight of Chen Shanman and the others at close range, when Chen Shanman and the others saw that it was Han Fei holding a Barrett sniper, everyone who knew Han Fei subconsciously opened their eyes wide, and they were all surprised. Why can't it be me? If it weren't for me, you think there would be someone who has nothing to do at night to run to play sniper to help you? Han Fei pursed his lips, and then didn't pay much attention to Chen Shanman and the others, and walked quickly towards the wooden house where Fan Tinlei was. Fan Tinlei, I said you're enough. When I was playing soy sauce in the Wolf's Tooth Special Operations Brigade some time ago, I looked down on you very much. Now, you make me look down on me even more, because you are also a veteran, and because you are still the Chief of Staff of the Wolf Tooth Special Operations Brigade. That's how you set an example for the soldiers around you. Isn't it just that your leg was blown off by a bomb? My legs, my legs. Do you want to be shameless? Are you a fucking woman? You don't even care about the situation on the battlefield? Have you forgotten that you have other comrades? After Han Fei walked into the wooden house, he heard Fan Tinlei's screams, and as soon as he went up, he raised his hand and punched Fan Tinlei in the face, knocking him out. With Han Fei's behavior, Fan Tien, who was screaming, was thrown to the ground, and his face suddenly became stiff. Han Fei. Why are you here? Fan Tinlei's pupils constricted. Yes, it's me. It seems to be a little more sober. You'd better stop screaming, otherwise I might not be able to help but shoot you. Han Fei replied coldly. As he spoke, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and he looked at Fan Tinlei with an extremely serious expression. Don't think I'm scaring you. The Wolf Tooth is my grandfather's army. But the Wolf Tooth Special Operations Brigade now has a shameful chief of staff like you. I'm very unhappy. After Han Fei said this, he didn't care how ugly Fan Tinlei's expression was, and then, he took Xu Tianlong and walked towards the door, letting Li Erniu take care of Fan Tinlei alone. After walking out of the wooden house, Han Fei carried Barrett and continued to shoot one after another, killing those militants who were not completely dead one after another, and at the same time, he also said to Chen Shanman, pay attention to the person behind the militants. That person is called Wang Qingshan, Wang Yunbing's father. His code name is Tuna, and he is an undercover policeman. How do you know? Said Chen Shanman as he shot at the militants. If you don't believe it, you ask Wang Yunbing and ask him if he knows Wang Qingshan, Han Fei said. Wang Qingshan is indeed my father. Why is he a tuna? Wang Yunbing excused, and when he said this, the look on his face was extremely complicated. Nothing is impossible. Your father didn't recognize you before, because he was already an undercover agent, and he couldn't recognize you at all, for fear that something would happen to you, Han Fei said. In the process of talking, The few militants left were all sniped by Han Fei and others. Among them, Han Fei's sniping occupies the most critical role. Those militants were under the flanking attack, seeing that they could not live, and they had chosen to act crazy, and rushed towards Wang Qingshan fearlessly, ready to break the net with Wang Qingshan, holding grenades in their hands. And before they could rush over, they were sniped by Han Fei. When all the terrorists were sniped, Wang Qingshan greeted Chen Shanmen and the others. "I'm Tuna." When he came up, Wang Qingshan spoke with a straight face. "It's windy today." Gong Jian's eyes moved, and then he spoke. "I think it's a typhoon." Wang Qingshan responded. "Sure enough, it's Tuna." As Wang Qingshan answered the correct password, Gong Jian and the others suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. "Dad, how can you be Tuna?" After Wang Qingshan approached, Wang Yunbing looked at Wang Qingshan in a complicated manner. "Let's not mention this, since the ghost sword is dead. Let's go and kill Shang Ming together. Most of his elite have been sacrificed in this battle, and the rest will not be able to become any climate. Wang Qingshan is right." "No problem," Gong Jian replied. "However, the chief of staff is injured, and he must send someone to send the chief of staff back first." "Is the Golden Eagle injured?" Wang Qingshan was startled. "Yes." Gong Jiandao. "Is the injury serious?" Wang Qingshan said. "It's just that my leg was injured by the explosion, so I took a cursory look at it, because it didn't hurt my muscles and bones, and I would be fine after recuperation." Han Fei excused. "Are you?" Wang Qingshan looked at Han Fei suspiciously. Han Fei took out a document and handed it to Wang Qingshan. What he took out was not the certificate of the 7 Kills Group, but the certificate of the General C Department. Not everyone knows about the 7 Kills Group, and it is only clear when they reach a certain level, so in order to act cheaply, all the members of the 7 Kills Group, in addition to the documents of the 7 Kills Group, also have the documents of the State A Bureau, the General Staff Department and other power departments. "Hello, Chief." After taking the certificate, Wang Qingshan opened the certificate, and as soon as he opened it, his pupils shrank suddenly, and then he carefully looked at the steel seal, and after making sure that it was not counterfeit, he immediately stood up and saluted. Wang Qingshan's behavior made Gong Jian and the others next to him subconsciously for a while, and then they saw Gong Jiandao say to Han Fei, "Don't mind if I take a look too, right?" Han Fei smiled and shook his head. As Han Fei did this, Gong Jian took the document from Wang Qingshan's hand, and his pupils shrank immediately after him. "Hello, Chief." Then, just like Wang Qingshan, Gong Jian stood up and saluted. "What's the situation?" "Gong Jian, why are you also called Chief Han Fei? This kid, didn't you come to my Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade not long ago for assessment?" Chen Shanman looked at the scene in front of him in great surprise, and subconsciously took the certificate from Gong Jian's hand. "Nima, Major General of the General Staff Department, Han Fei." As soon as he saw the words on the certificate, Chen Shanmin's pupils shrank violently, and then subconsciously thought that it was fake, but after carefully looking at the steel seal and carefully checking the material of the certificate, Chen Shanmin also stood up and saluted. "Good Chief. Major General of the General Staff, this level is a bit scary." Facing the salute of Chen Shanmin and others, Han Fei replied, and then took the certificate from Chen Shanmin's hand. "Don't be so polite. What should you call me, Han Fei, or how should I call it? This is a convenient paper book." Han Fei took the document and said with a smile. "Chief, this is no ordinary paper book," Gong Jian said with a smile. When Wang Qingshan, Gong Jian, Chen Shanmin and others were like this, Wang Yunbing and the pilot next to him were all stupid by the scene in front of them. "What is the situation? I don't understand it at all." Although they all know that Han Fei is the crown prince of the Han family and the grandson of the second chief. But what? After all, Han Fei has no authority. The prince is just some titles, but he is not a real prince like in ancient times, and he can make countless officials afraid. Not to mention, let the commanders of the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade above the rank of Major salute like this. Han Fei didn't have any explanation for the curiosity of Wang Yunbing and the others, and after he took the document in his hand, he put it away directly. Then he motioned to Chen Shanmin to continue to arrange the situation. Seeing Han Fei like this, Chen Shanmin also knew that Han Fei didn't want to take care of things, so he continued to make arrangements to let people clean up the battlefield, and he should be responsible for bringing the chief of staff to the warrior school immediately. Although Han Fei said that there was no major problem with the chief of staff's leg, if Bai Lei was injured, if it was not treated quickly, something would definitely happen. Han Fei. Under such circumstances, I saw a burly and strong-looking young foreign soldier suddenly approaching Han Fei and greeting Han Fei. Guess. Han Fei responded to the young man with a smile. Although in this life, because of his appearance in this world, the battle between He Chengguang and Cha Chai was not a close match, but a crushing battle. But after that station, He Chengguang still got acquainted with Cha Chai, and not only He Chengguang was like this, but Lin Xiaoxiao and Han Fei, who were with He Chengguang at the time, were also like this, and they had played for a few days in private, so Cha Chai knew Han Fei. Long time no see, thank you for saving us just now, I guess I owe you a life. Cha Chai Zheng said to Han Fei. What are you talking about, what is not owed? Han Fei slapped his hand in Cha Chai's Hun mouth. This Cha Chai Han Fei actually appreciated it, although the ending in the story was a little sad, but it was actually caused by the tragedy of fate. How did you think of running to be a soldier? Han Fei changed his words. That's a long story. A hint of bitterness curled up at the corner of Cha Chai's mouth. I'll tell you when I'm done. Han Fei nodded, and then followed Chen Shanman and the others into action, heading towards the warrior school. Although next, Chen Shanman and the others are ready to kill Shang Ming. But that's not just about going, after all, it's night. Instead of going here, it is better to wait until daytime to go. As long as Shang Ming's base camp is still there, he can't run away at all. In addition, Han Fei's main task now is to rescue Cha Chai and Wang Qingshan. As long as these two people don't get into danger, Han Fei can't continue to toss in the evening. With his ability, alone, he can kill Shang Ming and the militants to which Shang Ming belongs. For most of the hour, the warrior school. On a hospital bed, Fan Tinlei was lying here, and he had now regained his composure, no longer screaming as he did when he was shot at the beginning. Suddenly, Han Fei pushed the door and walked in. Chief, are you here to continue watching my jokes? Fan Tinlei, who was lying on the bed, said to Han Fei in a deep voice as Han Fei stepped into the room. There's a meaning. Han Fei smiled. Then the chief, you have also seen it, can you leave? Fan Tinlei said. Fan Tinlei, I want to ask you a word. Han Fei shrugged his shoulders noncommittally, and then asked indifferently. Chief, what do you want to ask? Fan Tinlei said. Did you learn anything from this time? Han Fei said. What do you mean? Said Fan Tinlei with a frown. It seems that I haven't learned anything, to be honest, Fan Tinlei. I'm very disappointed in you. And at the same time disappointed in you as veterans of the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade. I knew you were so bad, 3 years ago in the 0231 area. I shouldn't have killed the Scorpion like that. With Scorpion's cunning and his good sniping ability, you could have died in Area 0231 at the time, instead of waiting until you survived to get injured. Didn't anyone tell you that the enemy who fell to the ground was the most terrifying, turning over the corpse? What a powerful act you are. Han Fei shook his head, dropped a sentence, and then prepared to walk towards the door. Wait, what are you talking about? 0231 area. The person who shot in 0231 area 3 years ago turned out to be you. How can this be? Fan Tinlei's eyes widened and looked at Han Fei in disbelief. Nothing is impossible. Do you know why I am disappointed in you? You are arrogant, too empiricist. You will kill yourself sooner or later. You're lucky today, you only hurt your leg, but if I hadn't shown up at the time, you would have been served a pot this time. You're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting others. Fan Tinlei, you can do it yourself. Han Fei stopped, then threw a cold voice at Fan Tinlei, and then walked out of the room. After walking out of the room, Han Fei then went to look for Cha Chai. Then I talked to Cha Chai and listened to Cha Chai talk about his experience as a soldier. To be honest, Cha Chai can be considered a good seedling. Today's Cha Chai is still very kind in his heart when his wife and children are not dead. If it weren't for the fact that Cha Chai was from country C, Han Fei couldn't help but have some thoughts of cultivating Cha Chai. Check this guy's physical fitness. Han Fei has simply tested it a long time ago. It is very good. He is a good seedling for martial arts. It's a pity that I can't learn the law, and I don't have the guidance of a master. Otherwise, my strength will inevitably be much higher than now. After chatting with Cha Chai for a while, Han Fei then went to meet Shu Tianlong. At this time, Shu Tianlong was in a tent with Wang Yunbing and others. Master. Seeing Han Fei walk in, Shu Tianlong, who found this situation, immediately greeted him with a smile. Let's go. Go out for a walk, Han Fei said to Shu Tianlong. Oh. Shu Tianlong responded, and then flew towards Han quickly, and the two of them quickly disappeared from the sight of Wang Yunbing, Li Erniu and the pilot. When they saw Han Fei walk out, Wang Yunbing and the pilot's eyes were complicated. At this time, they all knew a certain identity of Han Fei. Major General of the General Staff. Such a level made them very complicated, and they really didn't expect that the people who trained together not long ago would have such a military rank. Soy sauce. When he first learned the reason why Han Fei joined the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade, Wang Yunbing felt that Han Fei was very arrogant. The Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade is not a place where other people can play soy sauce and smash the field. But, later, Han Fei's series of performances made them all feel deeply powerless, and in the later stage of the assessment, Wang Yunbing and the pilots stopped competing with Han Fei, because they knew that they couldn't win at all. And they couldn't help but admire each other in their hearts, Han Fei. And now that I know Han Fei's identity, this is even more so. How are you feeling today? Han Fei said to Shu Tianlong after he walked out of the dormitory. What does the master mean? Shu Tianlong looked at Han Fei puzzled. About Fan Tinlei. Han Fei said. Well, I wasn't really a master before, but now I believe it. Shu Tianlong said with emotion. To be honest, the Chief of Staff's behavior today really disappointed him. After all, when the Chief of Staff trained them, he gave them a strong feeling. I didn't expect it. After today's incident, the psychological quality of the Chief of Staff was so poor. That kind of situation is not the reaction that a good Special Forces fighter should have at all. The arrogant army will be defeated. There was nothing wrong with the Master's previous interpretation of the Chief of Staff. Therefore, one must not be too empiricist, too complacent, and have a fear of the enemy. Han Fei patted Shu Tianlong's shoulder with his hand and said. Speaking of which, Master, it seems that you don't have the right to say this. A few days ago, you sneaked into the warrior school in a beach suit, and you completely looked down on the warrior school. Shu Tianlong looked at Han Fei with a strange look in his eyes. I'm different from Fan Tinlei, because, I'm really sure, have you forgotten, I'm a dark strength martial artist. To tell you honestly, my current martial arts level has entered the late stage of dark energy, and if I make a little progress, I can reach the peak of dark energy, and thus become a half-step master. With my strength, if I can't even sneak into such a warrior school, then I really don't need to mess around. Han Fei said with a smile. I'll go, Master, don't you want to be so scary? Shu Tianlong looked at Han Fei with wide eyes, frightened by the level of martial arts that Han Fei said. I can't scare anyone. There are many hidden masters in the country. There are more than you can imagine. Compared to the strength of those Huajin martial artists, I don't. Now. Han Fei patted Shu Tianlong's shoulder again with his hand. Of course, he didn't completely tell the truth at this time, although his martial arts level was not as good as Huajin, but he wanted to kill Huajin, and if he could use weapons, he could do it. Shu Tianlong. Okay, let's not talk about this. Show me tomorrow to check and guess, although the combat effectiveness of Shang Ming and the others is nothing. But if you don't pay attention to it, it is easy to have problems, Han Fei said. Look at Cha-Chai. Shu Tianlong was stunned. Yes, Han Fei said. Well, I will. Shu Tianlong replied loudly. The next day, early in the morning, as soon as it was dawn, Shu Tianlong and the others rushed towards the place where Shang Ming was, and as soon as they came here, they didn't give Shang Ming and the others any more chance to prepare, so they began to attack. Under the surprise attack of the Special Forces, a large number of militants died at gunpoint. However, this is Shang Ming's base camp, and the militants quickly reacted and then launched a counterattack against the Special Forces. A drug lord like Shang Ming values his life very much. My favorite thing to do is to use a lot of money to recruit masters. Many of the masters were originally veterans or something. The strength of the whole body is amazing. There are a lot of marksmanship, and for a while, it is difficult to take it quickly, especially individual snipers, who keep shooting, so that the Special Forces have to be cautious. Bang! Suddenly, a gunshot rang out, a bullet was quickly discharged, and then, a sniper was killed, and the person who shot it was Han Fei. At this time, Han Fei was still holding Barrett, and the lethality was very huge. As soon as he struck, he fired again, and the attacks in his hands kept unleashing, eliminating those snipers in a very short time. Damn, kill that sniper, can't let him keep shooting. Seeing this, some of the militants immediately spoke loudly, but no one responded to them. Because the people who could hear the voice although they all wanted to kill Han Fei. Han Fei was more than 1,000 meters away, and with their weapons, they couldn't hit it at all. Damn. I hate snipers the most. Seeing that the people around him kept dying, but they couldn't attack Han Fei, the terrorists all secretly hated, and at the same time, some people couldn't help but retreat and wanted to evacuate. The Barrett used by Han Fei, this weapon has huge lethality, and if it stays in place all the time, it will be sniped out sooner or later. Huh. Suddenly, Han Fei, who kept sniping at the armed madman, frowned, because, according to the scanned map, Wang Qingshan and Cha-Chai at this time actually ran towards a shortcut, and then quickly intercepted Shang Ming, who wanted to escape from the back of the villa, although when they went, Xu Tianlong and Wang Yunbing also followed them, but Han Fei was also afraid of problems. So, in the next second, Han Fei's body suddenly carried Barrett and quickly rushed into the manor. As Han Fei behaved like this, some gunmen were suddenly stunned when they saw this, but they only sneered after just a moment's pause. If Han Fei had been in the distance, they wouldn't have been able to kill Han Fei, but a sniper like Han Fei was holding a heavy sniper like Barrett and rushing into the manor. Wouldn't this be a death? However, things turned out not as they imagined. I saw that after Han Fei rushed towards the manor, he rushed to the area where the militants could shoot at an extremely fast speed, but before they could attack Han Fei shot one after another. Aim and shoot at them. Blind snipe. Han Fei actually sniped at the militants with Barrett and carried out blind sniping. Bang bang bang. 3 shots in a row means that 3 terrorists died in a row. Retreat, 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 damn it, monster, this is. Han Fei's methods frightened some militants who had already seen the situation and had the intention of retreating, and immediately evacuated quickly. However, now that the entire manor has actually been surrounded, even if the militants want to evacuate, it is easy to break through, especially as their snipers are constantly sniped. And Han Fei didn't care about this, he kept rushing towards the place shown by Wang Qingran on the map. Han Fei was obviously holding a heavy sniper, but his speed was much faster than that of ordinary special forces. As a sharp knife, it slammed into the ranks of the militants, tearing a hole in it. Everywhere you go, you are slaughtered. Blind sniping, sniping. Even in the process of running, Han Fei picked up the guns of the militants he had sniped and shot quickly, directly hitting many militants. Under Han Fei's surprise attack, he quickly rushed to the place where Wang Qingshan and the others were, and when he came here, he also happened to see Wang Qingshan and the others intercepting Shang Ming. Shang Ming, stop, you can't run, the police are coming soon. I saw that Wang Qingshan at this time pointed a gun at Shang Ming and spoke coldly to him. Are you a traitor? The drug lord Shang Ming looked at Wang Qingshan coldly, his eyes full of murderous intent. No, I'm undercover. Wang Qingshan said. Our family trusts you so much, why did you betray me? Shang Ming said loudly, and when he said this, he was very excited. Shang Ming, do you know, I have been in the tiger's den for so many years, I just have to wait until today. I will bring you to justice. There is only one way in front of you now. Immediately lay down your arms and surrender. Otherwise, you only have one way to die. Wang Qingshan said loudly to Shang Ming. I didn't expect that I trusted you so much, you actually betrayed me. Shang Ming continued to speak with an excited look, and when he spoke, he retreated step by step, and at the same time, Wang Qingshan, Xu Tianlong and others also followed step by step to prevent Shang Ming from running away. When Wang Qingshan and the others followed, Wang Qingshan and the others didn't notice it, and Shang Ming's eyes were cold. In addition, in a corner of the wall that Shang Ming retreated and could not see by Wang Yunbing and others, there was a person with a submachine gun lurking here. Bang! Wang Qingshan and the others didn't find it, but it didn't mean that Han Fei didn't find it. Using the scanning of the system, he clearly saw such a situation, so he shot directly, and exploded Shang Ming's head with one shot, and as Shang Ming's head was blown off, Wang Qingshan and the others were shocked, and they didn't understand why Han Fei did this. Under normal circumstances, it is far better to catch a drug lord like Shang Ming than to kill him directly. Han Fei didn't explain anything to Wang Qingshan and the others, but jumped out all of a sudden, and instantly exceeded the corner of the blind spot, and in an instant, the AK-47 bullet picked up on the road in his hand spit out, killing the terrorist who was squatting in the corner and didn't have time to react. With Han Fei's shooting, Wang Qingshan and the others' faces changed, and then they hurriedly ran towards Han Fei's location, and then they all saw the militants who were shot by Han Fei in the corner. Seeing such a situation, The pupils of Wang Qingshan and the others shrank, and their backs couldn't help but feel cold. It can be said that if Han Fei hadn't killed Shang Ming and the militants in the corner, some of them would have died. Long, in the future, when you encounter a situation like Shang Ming, don't ink anything with him, kill him as soon as possible, and never give him the opportunity to kill himself. In addition, the most important thing is to maintain a high degree of vigilance at all times. The enemy has always been cunning, and there can be no negligence on the battlefield. Han Fei said to Xu Tianlong in a deep voice. Understood. Xu Tianlong replied loudly. Han Fei nodded, and then stopped killing the militants, just stayed where he was, because, according to the map scan, he clearly found that the terrorists kept being eliminated again, and there was no need for him to take action at all, and there was no problem. However, although Han Fei was not ready to kill the militants, he was not prepared to stay there either. Longlong, you and Chachai stay in this place, don't walk around, I'm going to do something. Han Fei said to Xu Tianlong and the others, and without waiting for Xu Tianlong to answer anything, he quickly identified a certain direction and ran away, and soon disappeared from the sight of Xu Tianlong and the others. Seeing Han Fei's incomparably amazing body speed, Chachai, Xu Tianlong and the others couldn't help but show a trace of awe and envy in their eyes. After Han Fei left the place where Xu Tianlong and the others were, he walked towards an underground vault. This is the place he had discovered when he had secretly observed the situation of Shang Ming and the others in the past few days. The vault was built on a vacant lot on the estate. It's a very sophisticated camouflage, and there are mechanisms, so ordinary people can't even notice that this is a vault. If it weren't for Han Fei secretly observing Shang Ming and discovering that Shang Ming had the habit of entering the vault to look at his money, even he would probably ignore it. When Han Fei entered the vault, he saw dazzling gold and a large amount of jewelry, as well as some antique calligraphy and paintings. At least, it has a tonnage of more than 2 tons of gold. Can the system convert these gold and jewelry directly into RMB and put them on my bank card account? Han Fei said to the system. Well, yes, but there's a processing fee, the system said. How much is the fee? Han Fei frowned. 1%, the system said. Changed. Han Fei said without hesitation, although the conversion was very pitiful, it would be troublesome if he exchanged the gold for money. Ask the host to place their hands on the gold bricks and jewels that need to be replaced, the system said. Han Fei answered, walked in front of the pile of gold bricks, and stretched out his hand, fortunately, and needed to touch each piece with his hand. Almost in the moment when he put his hand on the gold brick turned into a streamer and disappeared. Han Fei was not surprised by such a situation, and then went to the jewelry store again, absorbing the jewelry and everything. After absorbing and playing with gold and jewelry, Han Fei followed and looked towards the antique calligraphy and paintings. For these things, Han Fei did not let the system transform, but let the system be included in the system space. After doing such a thing, he left the vault after Han Fei. This time he came to South America in vain, not only saved Wang Qingshan and Chachai, but at the same time, he also gained hundreds of millions of yuan. In addition, this is still in the case of gold and jewelry. If the calligraphy, paintings and antiques are taken out and sold, maybe this number will be doubled. After walking out of the vault, Han Fei used the system scan to take a look at the situation of Xu Tianlong and the others, and at this time, they stayed in the place he just said and didn't walk around. In addition, Han Fei also found out that the terror was about to be killed, and 1 or 2 were still resisting. But soon the 2 terrorists were also killed. System, why hasn't it been improved to complete the mission? Haven't all the militants been killed? Seeing that the militants had all been killed, Han Fei frowned and asked the system. Chachai is still in danger, the system said. Still in danger? Han Fei frowned. What's the situation? Ding. You need to pay 100,000 RMB to answer this question. Please ask the host if you want to continue, the system said. Go on. Han Fei said. According to the system, Chachai's relatives will be captured by the Scorpion organization to threaten Chachai, in order to vent their anger at the death of the Ghost Sword in South America this time, the system said. In other words, I have to protect Chachai and return to country C. Han Fei said. Yes. The system said. Okay, I see. Han Fei nodded, and then no longer continued to talk to the system, but thought about the organization behind Ghost Sword and the others. Whether it was the Scorpion that was killed by Han Fei 3 years ago, or the Ghost Sword that was killed this time, The organization behind them was the African Strategic Resources Company. The African Strategic Resources Corporation, or AO for short, is an established international mercenary company that employs a group of mercenaries who work for their lives, mostly retired Special Forces veterans from various countries. The mercenary company of the African Strategic Resources Corporation is not actually in Africa, but has an office and training base in Cape Town, South Africa. The reason why it is called African Strategic Resources Company. There are two reasons. First, the founder is Colonel Buffon. He once served in Rommel's Africa Corps. He has a soft spot for Africa. And most of the earliest members of the company are Africa Corps veterans. And it is interesting that among the participants there are also retired British commandos, who were enemies on the battlefield at that time, but after the war they became colleagues second. Although AO has business all over the world, but the main business scope is still in Africa. But in recent years, with the rapid development of international wars and turmoil, the Balkan Peninsula in Asia and even Europe has also become a new field in which AO is more active. Ideographic period. After being troubled by the people of the African Strategic Resources Company one after another, Han Fei couldn't help but have the idea of going to the headquarters of the African Strategic Resources Company, and considered whether to destroy the company first. However, this thought spun around in his mind slightly, and Han Fei temporarily dismissed this thought. Because, now he still hasn't done it for a long time. First of all, Chachai must be escorted back to China safely. In addition, the Sakura group has not yet been resolved, and in the end, Enron may not be in trouble for a long time. So even if Han Fei wants to solve the African Strategic Resources Company, he doesn't have that much time at present. Don't let me take the time, or I'll make a trip to your headquarters. Han Fei's eyes flashed with coldness, and then he walked back to Shu Tianlong and the others. After walking back to Shu Tianlong and the others, the next thing seemed calm, cleaning the battlefield and collecting the corpse. 2 days later. What are you talking about? My wife and baby paper in your hands. Damn, what are you going to do? The warrior school training for Chachai and the others officially ended, and with the end, a stranger contacted him as soon as he got the new communication, which made Chachai's face change greatly. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Polar Bear, and I am the boss of the Ghost Sword who was hired by Shang Ming to kill you this time, and I belong to the African Strategic Resources Company. With Chachai's words, I saw a very indifferent voice coming from the phone, and his tone was very calm. What the hell do you want to do? Chachai asked in a deep voice. If you touch half of my wife and children's cold hair, even if it goes to heaven and earth, I will break you into 10,000 pieces. Don't brag about such a big bull. You're not a god. You can't go to heaven or earth or anything. Besides, don't threaten me. I'm a very cowardly person. I may kill your son if I don't pay attention. Oh, listen. The calm voice sounded again, and as the voice sounded, I saw a child's frightened voice sounding. Dad, Dad, save me, save me, save me. Lele. Chachai's pupils shrank suddenly. Well, now it's clear that I didn't lie to you. My purpose is very simple. Because of you, I lost one of my right-hand men, and in addition, I also lost a lot of elite soldiers. I'm angry, very angry. I know however, I know very well that just being angry will not help. So, I thought of you. Polar Bear calmly spoke. I want you to replace the Ghost Sword as my subordinate, to serve me, and to pay back everything you owe me. Don't think about it. Guess the subconscious way. Really, I thought you were valuing love and righteousness, but after a long time, you are so affectionate and righteous. Where is the Chachai who resolutely joined the army when he saw that his younger brother was killed by drug dealers? Chachai, Chachai. If you ignore your wife and children so much, then I will kill them all now. The polar bear said indifferently. Don't do that. Please stop. Chachai's face changed dramatically. Then come to me obediently. The polar bear said indifferently, then gave Chachai an address, and then hung up the phone. As the phone was hung up, Chachai's face was full of anger, and there was obvious murderous intent surging in his eyes. These damn drug dealers, these damn mercenaries. He had the intention to kill him immediately, but reason told him that if he went rashly, he would only die. As for surrendering that polar bear, it's impossible. He didn't want to be someone else's tool, but if he didn't submit to his wife and child, he would die, which made his heart become extremely heavy all of a sudden. By the way, Han Fei, I can go to Han Fei. Chachai suddenly thought of someone, then his eyes lit up, and then he immediately went to find Han Fei. Han Fei. Because it happened to be the end of the training today, the family was packing up their things, and Han Fei had not left the warrior school yet. Cha-Chai quickly found Han Fei, and Han Fei and Shu Tianlong and others were there at this time. Of course, the reason why Han Fei didn't leave was because he was waiting for Cha-Chai. There's no way, who hasn't done the work of the system yet. In addition, he and Cha-Chai now know each other, and since he knows from the system that Cha-Chai's family is in danger, Han Fei will not look at it coldly. What's the matter, Chagas? You have such a bad face, shouldn't you be happy to have graduated from the warrior school? Han Fei said. Han Fei, please help me. Cha-Chai bent down and saluted Han Fei. Why don't you do this? Just say what you want, we're friends. Han Fei said. When he said this, his brows subconsciously furrowed. It couldn't be that something very bad happened. Could it be that the African Strategic Resources Company directly killed Cha-Chai's family? Han Fei, my wife and baby paper were taken away by the people of the African Strategic Resources Corporation. They asked me to go to a designated place. They wanted me to be their tool, a pawn. Please, help me rescue my wife and children, please. Cha-Chai said to Han Fei with a very ugly face, with a pleading face, and when he said this, he bowed to Han Fei again. Don't do this, I've got you covered. Han Fei said. As he spoke, his words changed sharply. Then let's hurry up to the place you said, and rescue your wife and children as soon as possible. Thank you, Han Fei. Cha-Cha said. Master, I'll follow you too. Shu Tianlong, who was on the side, suddenly spoke. And let's go with us. Wang Yunbing also excused himself. Yes, and me, although I'm a little stupid, I can definitely still help. Li Niu also spoke. You've all gone, and I'm sure I'll go with you. The pilot followed suit. Thank you. Hearing the words of Shu Tianlong and the others, Cha-Chai said with great gratitude. Don't go. Han Fei suddenly opened his mouth to deny the words of Shu Tianlong and the others. Why? Wang Yunbing frowned and asked. When he said this, he looked at Han Fei very seriously. Han Fei, we know that our strength is much inferior to yours, but we are all special forces, and we have all passed the training of the warrior school, and if we follow up, we will definitely not drag you down. Yes, Han Fei, you can't do this, we are not here to be your burden. The pilot spoke. It's not that I think you are weak, but this time to save people, there are no more essences. If there are more people, it is easy to arouse the vigilance of polar bears. In addition, it is also easy to expose the target, which is not conducive to the rapid rescue of hostages. Han Fei shook his head. We've all learned how to make up and infiltrate. As long as we don't go together, it's definitely fine, and we won't let that person find out anything. Wang Yunbing spoke again. Yes, Han Fei, let's do it. The pilot said. I listen to the master, if you let me go, I will go, if you don't let me, well, I won't go either. Shu Tianlong looked at Han Fei with a smile. I still want to go. Although Cha-Chai is not from our Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade, he has been training with us recently, and he is our comrade in arms. Li Niu opened his mouth, and when he said this, his eyes were very firm. Are you sure you all want to go? Han Fei's eyes narrowed, and he looked at Shu Tianlong and the others with a straight face. Well, I really want to. Li Niu said. I have to go. Wang Yunbing said. Of course, yes. Pilots. If you can, take me with you, Shu Tianlong said. In that case, let's go together, but let's talk about it first, and I'll arrange everything then, Han Fei said. It's the chief. Shu Tianlong and the others stood up at the same time, and then said loudly. In that case, I will go and speak to your captain. Han Fei nodded, then walked out of the tent where Shu Tianlong and the others were, then found Shen Shanman and Gong Jian, and then told them that he was going to secondment Shu Tianlong and the others. Chief, are you going to take them on a mission? Gong Jian looked at Han Fei with wide eyes. Not bad, Han Fei said. Then can I ask what the task is? Gong Jian said. Military secrets. Han Fei said. Can you take us with you? Gong Jian said. No, I can't. Han Fei said. Chief, don't bring this. You took all our soldiers away, but you didn't take us to play. You are very selfish like this. We are all responsible for our soldiers, and if your soldiers are taken away like this, then how will the two of us go back to China? Oh, we lost our soldiers and kidnapped them when we went out of the door. If that's the case, the captain won't just split us. So, no, if you want to take them with you, Chief, then please take the two of us with you, otherwise, we won't worry. Gong Jian said to Han Fei with a smile. His voice was very unique, and it was difficult for people to feel bad for him. Gong Jian's words are right, Chief, bring us with you, don't worry, we won't cause you trouble, don't you know our strength? Chen Shanman also said with a smile. It's because I understand that I don't want you to go, Chief of Staff Fan is strong enough, but what about the result? Han Fei pouted noncommittally. The staff officer was a little uncomfortable that day, and he cared too much about it for a while, so he was like that. Gong Jian's face changed, and then he said with a smile. All right, there's never an excuse for the battlefield. Defeat is defeat, victory is victory, because this is a game to be played with life, Han Fei said loudly. Chen Shanman and Gong Jian each glanced at each other, and they both continued to say something. In any case, if you want to take them with you, Chief, you must bring us with you, and we will certainly not cause trouble. Chen Shanman followed closely and spoke, and when he said this, the eyes that looked at Han Fei were very determined, and he looked like he was going to go no matter what. Okay, if you want to go, you can go together, but there is no guarantee that you will survive, Han Fei said. It is our duty to obey orders, and we will not back down even when there is danger, Chen Shanman said. Just take us, Chief. Gong Jian said. Come on, Han Fei was just here to say hello to Gong Jian and Chen Shanman, since these two are also going. A sheep is to drive, and a flock of sheep is to be herded. That's not much worse. So he agreed to Shu Tianlong and Gong Jian's words, and then told the two of them what they were going to do next, and what their purpose was. When Chen Shanman and Gong Jian heard that things were like this, each other's pupils subconsciously shrank, and at the same time, a cold light flashed in their eyes. As a military man, as a special forces fighter, they all resonate with Chachai, who is also a special forces. Now they suddenly heard that Chachai's wife and children had been arrested and used by the polar bear to threaten Chachai, which made them all angry and made them want to kill. Because among the things that they know, there are very, very many things like this. Although it is glorious to be a soldier, many times you will encounter danger, so their relatives are forbidden to them, and they will never allow others to hurt them. The chief, as he ordered, these damned brutes, Chen Shanman said in a deep voice. Yes, chief, even if the order is given, we promise to complete the task, Gong Jian said. Let's break it up and sneak into Country C first. Han Fei said. As he spoke, he told Chen Shanman and Gong Jian about the location of the meeting in Country C, and then left the dormitory, returned to Shu Tianlong and the others again, and then told Shu Tianlong and the others about their two more comrades in arms. After learning such a thing, Shu Tianlong was stunned, and then smiled with relief. They were very clear about the temperament of Chen Shanman and Gong Jian. And then, next, Han Fei and the others all figured out their own ways and scattered to Country C. Because the place where the polar bear Jean Chachai went was Country C. A luxurious villa. At this time a tall, fair-skinned, middle-aged man in a Mao suit is holding a sister paper, lying on a sofa. While he is lying on the sofa, there are several armed men with guns around his body. Head. According to the spy's report, Nakachai has been quickly approaching Country C. Suddenly, a terrorist from Country C who was tinkering with a laptop spoke to the middle-aged man lying on the killing cry. This middle-aged man is the polar bear who called Chachai. Is he the only one? Said the polar bear to the militants as he smiled and ate the grapes he had fed with his sister's paper. Yes, head, according to observation, Chachai is indeed just a person who returned to Country C, and he really didn't tell his fellow Seapot special forces about his wife and children being kidnapped by us. The tinkering militant spoke. Very well, keep a close eye on this Chachai, and when he comes to us, we will take him down as soon as possible, Polar Bear rode. Don't worry, although this kid is a special soldier and has also fought boxing matches, but for us mercenaries, it is not worth mentioning at all. As long as he dares to come, he will definitely be caught by us. An armed man with an AK-47 spoke. Don't be too careless, after all, this kid just graduated from warrior school. The polar bear smiled. Cut, head, you don't know, a few of us haven't been trained in the warrior school, although the warrior school is difficult for ordinary special forces to pass the assessment. But for us mercenaries who lick blood at the knife's edge, it's not too difficult to get in. If we can't even enter the warrior school's assessment, we are still mixed in the world. One of the militants said noncommittally. That's right. And, HMPH, although the assessment of the warrior school is very cruel and severe for most special forces, in fact, it is still training after all, which is equivalent to us who are really fighting in the rain of bullets, and that kind of person is still inferior to us. Another militant spoke. You guys. Polar Bear scolded with a smile, and then didn't say anything about these people, because, in fact, even he didn't take the warrior school too seriously. Real warriors are sharpened from the battlefield, just training, where can they be considered real elites? It's 8 o'clock in the evening. Head, Natsuchai is already outside the door. The man tinkering with the computer spoke again to the Polar Bear. Are you sure he's the only one here? Polar Bear roared. No one else was found, and besides, the sentry we had set up was fine. The humanity of tinkering with computers. Very well, get him in for me. Polar Bear roared. With the Polar Bear's words, someone suddenly walked out of the door quickly, and after a while, he came to the Polar Bear with Chachai, who was wearing a casual dress at this time, with a t-shirt on his upper body and trousers on his lower body, as if he was not carrying any weapons. You're a Polar Bear? Chachai looked at the Polar Bear sitting on the sofa with fierce eyes. Not bad. The Polar Bear laughed. What about my wife and children? Tell me where my wife and children are. Chachai spoke. Don't worry, I'll let you see your wife and children, but before that, I want to ask you how you think about it, and whether you want to be my subordinate. If you don't want to, then we don't have to talk about it, and you don't need to see your wife and child. I'll have someone kill him directly, and if you want, I cannot hurt your wife and child. The Polar Bear smiled at Chachai as he ate the fruit he had fed him with the paper in his arms, and when he said this, he had a strong confidence in his eyes and a look of applause. I want to see my wife and children first, Chachai said. I said, boy, don't be embarrassed. I really think that when you come out of the warrior school, you will be awesome. I tell you a little rabbit like you, and I also have a crush on you, otherwise, I will torture you to death in minutes. One of the militants pointed a gun at Chachai and said to Chachai that he was about to kick Chachai with his foot. Bang! However, before he could kick Chachai, Chachai's body jerked into the air, and then a whirlwind kick kicked the militant in the head, knocking him to the ground. Ahem, cough, cough. A violent cough sound came from the mouth of the militant who fell to the ground, and I saw that there was blood flowing from the corner of his mouth along with the cough. Miscellaneous. You dare to sneak attack me. Lao Su wants to kill you. With a roar, the militants got up from the ground and rushed towards Chachai. All right, stop for now. The Polar Bear snapped. Hearing the Polar Bear say this, the militants who rushed towards Chachai suddenly stopped their attacks. You are very bold, you dare to do it in such a situation. Admire, admire. Your character, I like it, I am a little satisfied with you now. The Polar Bear looked at Chachai with a smile. To tell the truth, Chachai's sudden move made the Polar Bear and others not think much. After all, according to the intelligence, Chachai attaches great importance to love and righteousness, and now Chachai's wife and children are in the hands of the Polar Bear, and Chachai himself is also pointed at by a large number of weapons. In such a situation, it is simply looking for death. It was precisely because of this thought that the militant who was knocked down by Chachai at once would be angry, and if it wasn't for his carelessness, he believed that he would never be able to be knocked down by Chachai at once. And when the hall of the villa was so noisy, at this time, Han Fei was sneaking in from a corner of the villa at a very fast speed, only to see his figure rushing towards one of the walls, and in the moment of rushing over, he stepped on the wall, and then his body rose into the air, instantly crossing the wall, and in the moment of crossing the wall, a knife flew out of his hand, shooting the secret whistle lurking in the grass inside the wall. After doing such a thing, Han Fei's figure quickly left the place as soon as he moved, scanning it according to the radar map, and kept approaching one of the rooms. The room was scanned by the system, and the family with Chachai was being held inside. When Han Fei acted like this, around the villa, Shu Tianlong and the others were lurking with each other at this time, waiting for the signal to move. Because of the system scanning, Han Fei could clearly know where there were secret sentinels, where there were militants guarding them, and because of his extremely fast speed, he could often evade the guards in an instant. Soon Han Fei came to the downstairs of the room where the hostages were held. When he came here, a cold light flashed in his eyes, and then he stepped on the wall, soared more than 3 meters into the air, and suddenly went to the balcony of the villa. When he appeared in the air, he waved both hands at the same time, and 2 small knives flew out of his hands, shooting the 2 militants on the balcony, so that they didn't have time to react. Han Fei's skills are really amazing. Gong Jian, who was at the far end of the villa and was paying attention to Han Fei with his night vision binoculars, couldn't help but sigh. Even if he kept paying attention to Han Fei, he couldn't keep up with Han Fei's actions with his eyes many times. Shot the 2 terrorists on the balcony, followed by Han Fei, and walked towards the room, and after entering the room, he immediately saw Cha-Chai's wife and child, and they were all tied up at this time. However, although they were tied up, Han Fei was obviously relieved when he saw it, because, judging from their situation, they should not have been beaten up or anything. I am a friend of Cha-Chai, and I am here to save you. Han Fei looked at his wife and children, and said to them. As he spoke, he said to Shu Tianlong and the others through the communication equipment hanging in the corner of his clothes. It's time to start acting. I have found the hostages. Although the hostages were not rescued, Han Fei had confidence that as long as he stayed in this place, he would never think that someone would pass by him and hurt the hostages. Almost as soon as Han Fei's words fell, he saw Shu Tianlong and the others hiding outside the villa taking action one after another, and the snipers fired instantly, sniping some enemies who could be seen, and at the same time, the assaulters also attacked towards the villa. In the blink of an eye, the gunshots rang out, causing the polar bear in the lobby of the villa to frown. Go and see what the situation is, Polar Bear said with a frown. It's the head. Immediately, there were militants walking towards the floor-to-ceiling windows of the villa to observe what the situation was. Bang! Almost instantly, as the man walked towards the floor-to-ceiling window, a sniper bullet broke through the glass and shot at the militant's eyebrows, killing him instantly. Enemy attack. Damn it! What a situation! Such a situation surprised polar bears and others. Is it the person you brought? The polar bear suddenly looked at Cha-Chai. His eyes suddenly became sharp, and at the same time, the sister paper he held in his arms couldn't care about hugging it at this moment. You're looking for death, the polar bear said loudly, and when he said this, he wanted to kill Cha-Chai with one shot, but he suppressed it, because his main purpose this time was to drag Cha-Chai into the water, let him work for him, and train him to be a killing machine of his own. If he killed Cha-Chai like this, of course he was not willing. Go. Give me the wife and children who will go to Cha-Chai. I want to let this guy know the price of troublemakers. The polar bear opened his mouth angrily, his voice extremely cold, and as he spoke, he immediately walked towards the room where the hostages were held. He ran as fast as he could, and it didn't take long for him to open the door, and almost as soon as he opened it, a tactical dagger plunged into his brow, killing him instantly. With the death of this militant, Han Fei reached out and pulled the dagger out of his head, then wiped it on his clothes a few times, and then said to Cha-Chai's wife and children in the room, "You just stay here, don't run around, I'll help Cha-Chai." After speaking, without waiting for them to answer anything, he closed the door at once, and then according to the radar map, he walked towards the place where Cha-Chai and the others were. When he came here, he was holding the AK-47 that he had picked up after the terrorist died on the ground, and as soon as he came here, he shot him without waiting for the polar bear and others to react. Bang bang. It was just a quick point shot, that is, the death of the 4 terrorists, which made the polar bear and the others all startled, and almost when the polar bear and the others were startled, Cha-Chai also acted instantly, picked up the gun of a terrorist who was killed by Han Fei next to him, and fired it instantly, and the bullet spat out at the people around him quickly. Under such circumstances, the polar bear's complexion changed drastically, and he immediately ran towards a corridor at a rapid speed. Seeing the polar bear fleeing, Han Fei sneered, and the AK-47 in his hand hit the opponent's legs with another point shot, causing him to fall to the ground, and at the same time breaking the opponent's legs. Han Fei's bullet spat out again, hitting the polar bear's 2 hands as well, making it lose the ability to hold a gun. Although the polar bear is not strong in combat, Han Fei didn't want any accidents, and the reason why he didn't kill the polar bear at once was because Han Fei was going to ask the polar bear about the African Strategic Resources Company, and in addition, he was also going to leave this person to Cha-Chai to vent his anger. This person grabbed Cha-Chai's wife and children like that. If it weren't for Han Fei and others coming this time, Cha-Chai's wife and children would have died unintentionally. Because there was such a scene in the story. Polar bears love to kill other people's relatives in front of others. Don't kill me. A panicked voice sounded suddenly, only to see that the person who opened the mouth was the sister paper who was held in the arms of the polar bear at the beginning. This sister paper was very sensual. At this time she was like a little sheep seeing the big bad wolf like fear, and kept trembling. Seeing this, Cha-Chai frowned. As long as you don't move, I won't kill you. Really? The sensual sister said worriedly, but as soon as she finished saying this, she actually took out a gun by trick and was about to shoot at Cha-Chai. Bang! But before she could guess what she was shooting, the AK-47 bullet in Han Fei's hand flew out and hit her in the head, killing her in one fell swoop. When this sister died, Her eyes were wide open, and she looked completely dead. She never thought that Han Fei would notice her actions and shoot her like this. Cha-Chai, in the future, when you encounter such a situation, don't be merciful, otherwise you are likely to pay with your life. You must not be careless just because the other party is a woman, Han Fei said. Yes, I know Han Fei. Thank you for saving my life again, Cha-Chai said loudly with some shame and shame. Han Fei shook his head, then walked up to the polar bear at once, knocked him unconscious, and then said to Cha-Chai, let's go and help kill all the terrorists. The two of them went one after the other, and Han Fei opened the way, and under the scanning of the map of Han Fei's system, the terrorists had nothing to hide, and they walked all the way. No matter where they were hiding in the secret outpost, or hiding the militants, they were all quickly killed by Han Fei. Although Cha-Chai followed behind Han Fei and had a chance to shoot, he found that after he followed Han Fei's actions, the share of soy sauce accounted for the majority. That's amazing. Although Cha-Chai had seen Han Fei's strong strength when he was outside the warrior school, and he also knew that Han Fei's force value was very strong, he still felt terrible when he saw Han Fei's combat strength again at this time. You must know that these people who were killed by Han Fei were not small minions, they were all mercenaries, and they were all more powerful than any other special forces. Under the cooperation of Han Fei, Cha-Chai, Shu Tianlong and others, in less than 10 minutes, all the armed elements were killed. Phew, thank you. Thank you very much. When everything was over, Cha-Chai bowed to Han Fei and the others, and at the same time, asked his wife and children to express their gratitude to Han Fei and the others. I said don't be so polite, you better be alone with your wife and children first, they should be frightened, Han Fei said. Cha guessed, and then went alone with his wife and children. Seeing this, Han Fei smiled, and then his gaze fell on the polar bear. Han Fei, this polar bear is a big fish, what are you going to do to him next? Gong Jian said to Han Fei with a smile. Of course, it's a good interrogation, and when there is no value, shoot it on the spot, Han Fei said. Did you kill it? Gong Jian was stunned. If you don't kill him, you are still ready to take him back to China and imprison him, Han Fei said. Yes, after all, this person is from the African Strategic Resources Corporation, and if he is kept, he may be able to rebel against him and arrest more internationally wanted criminals. Gong Jian didn't hide what he meant and said with a smile. Okay, I don't like this kind of tiger breeding, once something happens, you have to get into trouble, Han Fei said. With that, Han Fei grabbed the polar bear that had fainted and took him to an empty room. Seeing this, Gong Jian and the others subconsciously followed. Gong Jian, Shen Shanman and the others almost all wanted to see how Han Fei interrogated the polar bear. And when they were like this, Shu Tianlong didn't have such curiosity, because he had already seen Han Fei's powerful methods. With that kind of means, to be honest, Shu Tianlong really doesn't think anyone can carry it. Sure enough. 5 minutes later, Gong Jian, Shen Shanman, Li Erniu and the others all walked out of the room quickly with bad faces. They are all bloody now, and there are quite a few people who have been killed, especially Gong Jian and Shen Shanman. But seeing Han Fei cut off the meat of the polar bear with a knife and then put it on a barbecue grill for barbecue, it still scared them, not to mention that they also saw Han Fei forcibly feed the roasted meat to the polar bear. I watched my own meat being roasted piece by piece, and then being forcibly fed to my mouth and swallowed. This feeling, definitely not something that anyone can withstand, and the display of spiritual power is powerful, and it is possible to collapse. Although Polar Bear is a person who is not from the General Strategic Resources Company, his strength is actually not strong, and he can't be regarded as a warrior at all, so he couldn't withstand Han Fei's behavior at all, and he didn't dare to hide the situation of the African Strategic Resources Company that he knew. In addition to telling Han Fei about the African Strategic Resources Company, he also transferred the money he had deposited in a Swiss bank to Han Fei online. You can't do this if you don't give it. Under Han Fei's torture, the polar bear had only one thought, to die quickly. He didn't want to be tortured by Han Fei anymore at all, and he was terrified for not prolonging it for a second. Although this polar bear could not have as much money as Shang Ming's treasury some time ago, it also provided Han Fei with more than $30 million. Well, this time the harvest is also good. There are more than $34 million. There are 8 of us here, and each of you 7 will get $4 million. No problem. After Han Fei and the other polar bears transferred the money to their accounts, they knocked the polar bears unconscious again, and then walked out of the room and said to Chen Shanman and the others. Don't. We're just here to help Cha-Cha guess this time. We can't collect money or anything. Besides, we are Special Forces soldiers of the Celestial Empire. How can we take this money? In addition, according to the regulations, even if you get money from a drug dealer or something, you must hand it over as soon as possible. Gong Jian shook his head, said to Han Fei with a straight face, and looked at Han Fei solemnly as he spoke. Speaking of which, Chief, although you are a Major General of the General Staff, you are not good. Major General of the General Staff Department is just one of my identities. Well, this is my real identity. Han Fei smiled and threw a black book at Gong Jian. Seeing this, Gong Jian subconsciously took it in his hand, and then turned it over, and as soon as he let go, Gong Jian's pupils shrank. Captain of the 7 Kills Group, Han Fei, the rank of Major General. Directly under the first and second heads. Well, it's okay to get some money now. Han Fei smiled. You are actually a member of the 7 Kills Group, this. Gong Jian shook his head with emotion. He had also faintly heard of the 7 Kills Group, and he didn't want to see a real person today. Murder license. With strong privileges, chopping first and then playing or something, it's all commonplace. No wonder Han Fei shot something and killed him directly. 7 Kills Group, what is that? Li Erniu and Wang Yunbing looked at the black book in Gong Jian's hand curiously. You just need to know that there is no crime to kill someone. Our 7 Killings Group has a lot of privileges, and if we operate outside the country like this, we can get money from criminals with our personal skills, and we have no problem handling it ourselves, because we are carrying out all kinds of dangerous tasks. Of course, it is limited to getting it from these terrorists. Mess around or something, even if you have privileges, someone will sanction you, Han Fei said. Although Wang Yunbing and Li Erniu still didn't understand what the 7 Kills Group did, they were still shocked when they suddenly heard Han Fei say that having the certificate of the 7 Kills team was equivalent to a murder license. Although they can also kill people, they are all on missions. Usually you are absolutely not allowed to mess around. Originally, helping Cha-Chai this time could actually be regarded as a violation of discipline, but fortunately, it was Han Fei who led the team. Han Fei measured out the documents of the Major General of the General Staff Department at the beginning and brought them to carry out the mission, which is also reasonable, of course. Now that he knows that Han Fei has a murder license, it is even more reasonable. I still can't ask for money, Gong Jian said. I'm, too, Chen Shanman said. Okay. Just a little money, what are you trying to do? You don't want it yourself, but you have to do it for your family. How much money do you have to be a soldier? You often go on dangerous missions, and even if you die, your pension is not high. Therefore, taking this money can be regarded as improving the life of the family. I really don't want it. You can use it for charity or something. Anyway, I will distribute it to you. What you want to do, that's your business, Han Fei said. However, this money is black money after all, and it is not appropriate to give it to you rashly, so when I return to China, I will use legitimate channels to transfer money to you. Han Fei's words changed. Hearing Han Fei say this, Li Erniu and the others couldn't help but be stunned. Li Erniu is a baby in the countryside, and the family burden is relatively heavy, so in order to let his sister study, he dropped out of school early to work. If you can really take some money and not go back, you can really improve the lives of your sister and mother. We really don't want this money, it's not safe to take this money. Li Erniu was stunned and said. I command you to take it, so be it. Han Fei said speechlessly. It has become difficult to send money these days. If it weren't for Li Erniu, they were good, and Han Fei wouldn't have taken out money like this rashly. After all, he could have interrogated the polar bear alone, and after he spit out the money, he could kill the polar bear directly. He really thinks that it is not easy to be a soldier, although he doesn't want to be a soldier, but it is still that sentence, which does not mean that he looks down on being a soldier. In addition, to be honest, he is of a similar nature now, except that he is very free. Master, then you write down my card number. Remember to call my card as soon as you return home. With this money, I can also buy some things by myself. Shu Tianlong's eyes moved, and then he opened his mouth with a smile. When I return to China, I will send the card number to my mobile phone. Fei glared at Shu Tianlong, and then laughed. With Shu Tianlong taking the lead, the pilot and others did not insist, and Han Fei said it to this point. Since the money can be taken legally, then they are not burdened. Can anyone who is a mercenary be rich? Asked Han Fei with a curious opening after Wang Yunbing accepted the money. Hey, it depends on how well you can mix internationally. If you can mix very well, then naturally this money is nothing. But if you can't mix well, if you want to have so much money, it's also a dream. In our celestial empire, although there are special forces who go to serve as mercenaries, the number of them is not too many, and in the Middle East and South Africa, the most worthless thing is the population, and many children in these places have experienced the baptism of war since childhood, and it is not difficult to get some mercenaries who have undergone brutal training. Such mercenaries, ordinary special forces, are not opponents at all, Han Fei said. Oh, I thought it would be easy to get money, but this polar bear is really rich, more than 30 million US dollars, which is close to 200 million yuan when converted into RMB. Wang Yunbing said. He's also an executive at the African Strategic Resources Company, and it's not surprising that he has so much money, because executives like them have a commission, and every mercenary task under them will have a lot of money once it's completed, Han Fei said. I see. Wang Yunbing suddenly realized. By the way, speaking of mercenaries, I have an errand that you want to do. Han Fei's eyes suddenly narrowed, and then said to Chen Shanman and the others with a smile. What errand? Gong Jian looked at Han Fei puzzled. I haven't been the squadron leader of the 7 Kills team for a few months, and as the squadron leader, I have the qualifications to form a team and can recruit people to join the 7 Kills team, Han Fei said. You want to see us and attract us into the 7 Kills group? The eyes of the pilot and the others subconsciously lit up. Don't be happy yet, your strength is too weak, you can't even reach the threshold of the assessment. Even if I want to suck you into the 7 Kills group, at most I will make you a supernumerary team of the team I have copied. Han Fei said, of course, although I am only a supernumerary, I will support you, as long as you don't mess around. I can also stand up for you if something happens. There's not even a threshold for assessment. Wang Yunbing and the others were stunned. Not bad. The minimum assessment standard of the 7 Kills group is that people who are above the middle level of Ming Jin can join the 7 Kills group, and the normal situation is that only the strength of the Dark Jin level can join, Han Fei said. Ming Jin, Dark Jin, what is that? Wang Yunbing and Li Erniu both expressed puzzlement about such a thing. Bright energy and dark energy are a kind of strength level division of national arts, Han Fei said. I don't understand. Wang Yunbing and Li Erniu said that they still didn't understand. If you don't understand, if you only listen to the names of the 2 martial arts realms, you will know what the bright and dark forces are. Then there will already be countless masters in this world. Let's put it this way, Ming Jin is to practice strength. You ordinary people fight people. It's not strength, it's just brute force. Once you condense your strength, you can make the attack power several times, 10 times, even dozens of times, hundreds of times the explosion, Han Fei said. Dozens or even hundreds of times the attack power exploded, I said chief, you are too braggadocio, that can be regarded as Superman. Wang Yunbing looked at Han Fei in disbelief. Bragging? Han Fei smiled dumbly, I'm not bragging. Then according to what you mean, chief, you are hundreds of times more powerful than martial arts now. Wang Yunbing pursed his lips, although he had now admitted that he was inferior to Han Fei, and he did not have the same comparison with Han Fei as before, but to say that he was 100 times worse than Han Fei, Wang Yunbing would never admit it. Even if Han Fei's strength was strong, it didn't reach the level of 100 times more powerful. Of course hundreds of times is gone, but more than 10 times is no problem, Han Fei said with a smile. The master is right, because I also practice the national arts. When the martial artist really practices the national arts, it can indeed break out several times or even hundreds of times. Of course, if you want to break out hundreds of times, it is very, very difficult. Although I have practiced the strength with the help of the master, if I say that I exceed several times more than the combat power, I will definitely be able to exert it, but to say hundreds of times, it is said that only those legendary superpower masters can do it. Xu Tianlong said. You also know how to do national arts? Wang Yunbing and the others were stunned. Yes, you forgot that I was a martial arts family, Xu Tianlong said with a smile. Well, I haven't forgotten this, but, before this, I really didn't know that there was really any difference between bright and dark strength in the national arts, and I used to just listen to this as a pleasure, and subconsciously ignored this. Gong Jian suddenly spoke. In today's era, most people have stopped practicing martial arts, and for ordinary people, the realm differentiation of national arts is indeed just a pleasure, an interesting thing to listen to, and there are many people who don't believe it. Xu Tianlong sighed with emotion. Okay, let's not talk about that. Becoming an official team member is still a bit far away from you. Now let's get down to business. Do you want to join my supernumerary team? Han Fei interrupted Shu Tianlong's words, and said to Wang Yunbing and the others in a deep voice, paused at this point, and then continued. The supernumerary team, in fact, can be called a reserve team, because, once your strength really reaches the level where it can be assessed, I will let you really become a member of the 7 Kills group. Plus, of course I joined, such an awesome organization, of course I added, murder license, I'll go to it. I haven't heard of it at all before. If it weren't for the instructor believing you, I couldn't help but think you were bragging. The pilot said without hesitation, and his eyes lit up a little as he said this. Although I am only a supernumerary, I am also willing to join, as long as you don't dislike my strength as too poor. Gong Jian suddenly said to Han Fei. Napoleon once said that a soldier who does not want to be a general is not a good soldier. For every soldier, at the same time, he actually wants to go to a higher place, become the strongest person, or get close to the strongest. The 7 Kills group is definitely the most powerful force in the Republic. Now that he has the opportunity to enter here, Gong Jian doesn't want to miss it at all. And as Gong Jian did not hesitate, followed by Li Erniu, Wang Yunbing and others, they also agreed, and then only Chen Shanman did not open his mouth to join. Captain, aren't you going to join? Shu Tianlong looked at Chen Shanman suspiciously. Chen Shanman opened his mouth, and then said with a wry smile, in the past, only me and the chief of staff went to other troops to poach people, and this is the first time that someone else has poached people. The most important thing is also, Han Fei, why'd I suddenly feel that you did this on purpose? You are not taking revenge on the chief of staff and me for making things difficult for you in the first place. If we had known that you had this identity, why would we have been so idiotic to make things difficult for you? At that time, we just wanted you to be a soldier, and we didn't have any other thoughts. Don't think too much. I just think that your strength is good. If you cultivate it well, you can form a good combat power, and you can have the opportunity to go to a higher stage. It's not that you want to take revenge on your Wolf-Tooth Special Combat Brigade or anything. After all, you forgot. The Wolf-Tooth Special Combat Brigade is a unit led by my grandfather anyway. Han Fei shook his head and said. I'm sorry, I'm thinking too much. If so, I'm willing to join the supernumerary team of the 7 Killings. Chen Shanman said. Very well, then congratulations on becoming a member of my supernumerary team of the 7 Killings. Since you have become a supernumerary member of my 7 Killings group next, then this matter of sharing the spoils will be easy to handle. Aren't you all willing to easily accept the money I gave you? In this case, I will exchange this money for your cultivation resources, and turn it into Chinese medicinal materials or something for you. Han Fei nodded, and then said. Exchange the money for medicine? Li Ernia's eyes widened, and he suddenly felt a little painful. Why does it hurt? Han Fei said to Li Erniu with a smile. Well, I have a little bit of pain, I said, Chief. This money can buy a lot of things. Millions of dollars can be used to build a big villa. Just take it to buy medicine. This feels a little strange. Li Erniu nodded and said honestly. When Li Erniu said this, Wang Yunbing and the others also looked at Han Fei in puzzlement. Although they didn't think about taking money at first, they were still puzzled when they suddenly heard that millions of dollars were going to be used to buy medicine. Since you have all joined my supernumerary team, then I naturally need to train you. It is inevitable to teach you the national arts, among you, except for Long Long, who has practiced the national arts since he was a child. The others have not practiced the national arts before. Fortunately, you are all soldiers now, and you can be regarded as having a certain foundation in external skills. If you want to improve your strength, then you must take a medicinal bath. The Chinese medicinal herbs used for this medicinal bath are relatively expensive. Have you ever heard of such a sentence, poor and rich and martial? This is what it means. If you have no money, you want to cultivate the national art and improve the strength of the national art, unless you are really the kind of genius who is rare to see in 100 years or 8,000 years, with all kinds of demonic adventures. It will be difficult to cultivate Ming Jin for the rest of your life, Han Fei said. In addition, you are all older, and you haven't been able to lay a good foundation before, even if you are a soldier and practice military boxing, all kinds of nirvana, but you also have secret injuries in your body. If you don't raise the secret injuries well, even if your strength is improved to Ming Jin, it will be very bad for your body. Moreover, the warriors have very high requirements for nutrition. Once the nutrients are not given, it will affect the cultivation speed, and this kind of nutrition is not something that ordinary food can provide, and in many cases, even the supply of food has to be specially arranged. Han Fei Zheng said. Li Ernia's eyes widened, with a stunned posture, and then he scratched his head with his hand. It turns out that there are such requirements for practicing national arts. Then Chief, do you say that I can practice what you said about Ming Jin? Can I have the opportunity to skyrocket so much combat power at once? I don't want to be able to skyrocket hundreds of times my combat power. As long as I can skyrocket several times, I will be very happy. As long as you listen to my arrangement next, it is definitely not an incredible thing to increase your combat power several times, but basically all of you can only stop the dark energy in this life, and if you want to reach the realm of the martial arts sect master above the dark energy, it is basically not possible. Of course, there are no absolutes, and if you engage in all kinds of life and death battles in the future, maybe you will have a chance to improve in such dangerous situations. Because, danger often makes people burst out to their maximum potential, Han Fei said. I think I've heard that somewhere before. Wang Yunbing opened his mouth suspiciously. Well, the instructor has said such things before, Han Fei said. You still don't want to be my instructor or anything, Chief. You can just call me Xiao Chen now. I'm about to become your soldier, Chen Shanman said. Han Fei glared at Chen Shanman speechlessly. No wonder it sounds so familiar, Wang Yunbing said suddenly. You've heard this before, but in fact it's true. Danger is really the most powerful way to explode potential, Han Fei said with a smile. Next, Han Fei talked to Gong Jian and the others again, and then he didn't talk about it anymore. The next day, Han Fei and the others returned to China. After returning, Han Fei asked Xu Tianlong and the others to go to the Wolf-Tooth Special Operations Brigade to ask for leave, and then asked them to temporarily rent a courtyard, and then bought a large number of medicinal materials for them to recuperate. In addition, they also began to teach their Bajiquan. Although most martial arts families have a gateway view, they will not teach others martial arts at will. But the martial arts of every martial arts family basically has its own secret method. In addition, Han Fei felt that Gong Jian and the others were at fault, so he was not afraid to teach Bajiquan and let them go astray or something. In the martial arts world, there has always been a Tai Chi 8-year gate, and the 8 poles kill people in 1 year. If you want Xu Tianlong and others to quickly improve their strength, then it is also necessary to teach them such a national skill. With the medicinal bath and Han Fei's teaching of national arts, in just a few days, Wang Yunbing, Li Erniu and others suddenly felt that they had undergone earth-shaking changes. My body suddenly became lighter. It was as if all the dark diseases had been removed at once. In addition, the speed is faster and the shots are more powerful. Han Fei can't be regarded as a good master, but he is definitely not a mediocre talent. Although he has only taught Chen Shanman for a few days, he has already begun to lay a foundation for their future martial arts, and every day he lets them stand on the pile, so that they can familiarize themselves with themselves, so that they have the opportunity to condense their strength. Han Fei taught Wang Yunbing and the others for about 5 days, and then he didn't continue to teach them, because what should be said, he also said, and he also instructed people to prepare medicinal materials for Xu Tianlong and others. He has a lot of work to do. Han Fei didn't forget that he hadn't solved the Sakura group yet, so he investigated the Sakura group again, and as he continued to investigate this time, Han Fei found that his last action had a certain amount of surprise, and some of the lines that he had originally investigated had disappeared, but fortunately, there was a lot of information in his control, although there was a certain amount of online disappearance, but not all of them disappeared. Because the people in the Sakura group didn't know at all, Han Fei used his powerful interrogation methods to ask a lot of secrets. They all thought that even if their own people were suddenly planted, they would definitely not tell the secret. They all have absolute confidence in their own people, and they all believe in the warriors of their Big Pie Empire. In such a situation, Han Fei found one of the uplines, and then obtained some information from the other party's mouth again, and obtained the location of the Sakura Group's NJ distribution base. When Han Fei knew the location of the base, he was very shocked. According to the Sakura Group, their NJ branch was actually built in a waterworks. This is a medium-strength waterworks. On the surface it is a factory of *** people, and with it, it is a small cake country who secretly controls the water plant. These damn little devils. After Han Fei obtained such information, he subconsciously gave up a trace of essence in his eyes. In history, the little devil was very fond of doing biochemical experiments, and in addition, in Han Fei's dealings with the little devil in his previous life, he had clearly seen the little devil doing some biochemical experiments, and many people in the country were made by them to be ghosts and ghosts. And now this little devil has actually set up a branch base in a waterworks in NJ. Once this little Japan uses a little crooked brains and puts some biochemical drugs or something in the tap water, it will inevitably make many people tricked. This kind of speculation Han Fei felt that it was a big one, and maybe even these little devils had already done something in the tap water now. So, Han Fei went to the waterworks as soon as possible. Such a base had to be destroyed as soon as possible. Han Fei would never allow such a base to continue to exist.